Yo, 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 what's going on, fam? Yeah, man, it's your boy Teach back. Yeah, back with this third video, man. I'm supposed to been got to y'all with, but we here now. And first and foremost, man, I just want to give all thanks and praise to the Most High, for the opportunity to come and build and reason and commune with the fam, with the tribe once again. You know how it go. I always want to give all thanks and praise, man, to the Creator. Just for this opportunity, you know what I'm saying? So like I say, man, I'm finally here, man, with this third part. And yeah, man, and it's deep, man. So, first off, man, I just want to do a little recap on the previous videos. If you remember the first one, we were talking about Michael, right? The Archangel Michael, and just the element of refuge and protection that he provides for his people, especially, in a rough time, in a troublesome time, you know what I'm saying? And so in the last video, we got into the aspect of the divine Shekinah, and the presence of the archangel in the cloud, in the smoke, right, and how it provides refuge and protection. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. With that being said, now with this third video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the scriptures and we're gonna prove and show scientifically how the presence of the Creator or his divine Shekinah or his divine angel is present in the cloud, right? Because the Bible shows that it gives you science, but you got to be able to decode it through wisdom, right? Through patience and through understanding, right? So now this drop right here, this is very deep, it's very intricate, it's very complex. I'm not going to be able to break it down fully the way I would like to, so you got to bear with me, you know what I'm saying? You got to do your own due diligence, do your homework, you feel what I'm saying? And rock with me, you know what I'm saying? And search things out with me, But it's a very complex drop, you know what I'm saying? I don't specialize in chemistry, organic chemistry or science, you know what I'm saying? So like I say, this is not something I'm an expert at. So again, you got to bear with me. But it's very complex and it's very deep once you understand the core, you know what I'm saying, just the core principles that are at hand with this information. Like I say, the Bible gives the science on how the divine Shekinah is located in the cloud or in the smoke. You know what I'm saying? So that's, like I say, this is gonna piggyback off the last video when we were talking about the Shekinah in the smoke. But now we're gonna prove it scientifically. We're gonna give you the science, right? Because a lot of things may sound hocus pocus, you know what I'm saying, and spooky and all that. But the Bible is a very complex book, man. It's very deep. It has a lot of hidden wisdom, a lot of hidden mysteries. And people just get caught up on what they see on the surface, you know what I'm saying, and they never get to dive into the beauty of the wisdom of the Bible, you know what I'm saying, and that's something, man, we got to be very careful with, because there's so many layers, man, so many things to be decoded, you know what I'm saying, and it's like that for a reason, because it's all a purification process, you know what I'm saying. Just like Daniel say, the wise shall know, but the wicked, you know what I'm saying, not so much, and that's what these mysteries in a lot of these biblical scriptures, they kind of bring to life, you know what I'm saying. So with wisdom, we're able to see a lot of beautiful things play out in the scriptures, you know what I'm saying, through the grace of the Most High. So before I even get into that aspect of just showing the science behind the Creator's presence in the cloud, what I want to do is I'm gonna touch on another aspect, right? Because just like we were saying in the last video, like Ezekiel 20 and certain times in Exodus where certain individuals or the tribe would commune with the Creator face to face. Certain people see God face to face or see His angel face to face. You know what I'm saying? And more like the Most I say, He would plead with you face to face in the wilderness. So now there comes this aspect of seeing God, right? Seeing the Creator. You know what I'm saying, and what that means. You know what I mean. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna touch on a particular scenario. Where the patriarch Jacob, is is seeing or wrestling with the angel, right? Remember he said that he see God face to face at the place Peniel. You know what I'm saying? So now we're just gonna get into the aspects of it and kind of show just what, I'm just give what the Creator's been showing me, you know what I'm saying? And like I say, just the hidden mystery and wisdom within that story alone to kind of show this whole concept of seeing God, right? Before we even touch on this divine Shekinah being present in the cloud and the smoke. Okay, so, like I say, man, very complex drop, I'm not, chemistry, science, that's not really nothing I'm an expert at it, you know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm going to ask you guys to bear with me. Because, this is a very important drop, so I do want to get it out there, as efficiently as I can. And I know you guys understand that, so, without further ado, man, appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, man, so first and foremost, I want to start over here at this Enoch Wicked tab. Alright, now, this was something that kind of shaped my perception when going into Genesis 32, right? Excuse me. Now this is something that my bro Peru kind of brought to my attention, and like I said, it's kind of shaped my my perspective, man, on just when I was digging into Genesis 32. It gave me some interesting things to think about as I was reading. You know what I'm saying? So I want to jump down here right here to this Septuagint part, right? And I'm gonna read this for you. It says the 3rd century BC translator who produced the Septuagint and Koine Greek rendered the phrase "God took him," right, with the Greek verb metatithemi. Metatithemi, right, very important. Okay, meaning moving from one place to another. Sirach 44:16 from about the same period states that Enoch pleased God and was translated into paradise. Okay, that he may give repentance to the nations. Alright, the Greek word used here for paradise, paradisos, excuse me, was derived from an ancient Persian word meaning enclosed garden, right? Enclosed, protected, cut off, you know what I'm saying? And was used in Septuagint to describe the Garden of Eden. Alright, later, however, the term became synonymous for heaven, as is the case here. Okay, so now this was very interesting to me because right here where it says God took him, it says the Greek verb right there is this word, right? Meditative, right? And then me moving from one place to another, and then and then in the Sirach it was saying that he was translated to paradise, right? The garden. Now this is very interesting for some of the stuff I was building on at the time, especially this word right here, because it sounded a lot. It made me think of meditate, right? Metatithemi, right? So just keep all that in mind. But like I say, this was it kind of helped shape my perspective when I went to dig into some scriptures. All right, so coming here at Genesis 32, we see it starts off saying that Jacob fears Esau, right? Jacob, Esau was coming after his brother, right? We see here in verse 11 it says, "Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him. Lest he come and smite me and the mother with the children," right? Jump up to let's see, verse 32 and 7 says, "Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him and the flocks and herds and the camel into 2 bands." All right, so this is very important because we see the state of mind that Jacob is in, right? Trying to avoid his brother, who's apparently seeking to smite him, right? So we see Jacob is distressed, right? He's greatly afraid. You know what I'm saying? So this is very important to keep in mind for the context for the latter half of the chapter. All right. So now, jumping down to verse 22, right? Jacob wrestles with God. Let's see here. Alright, so says starting at verse 22. And he rose up that night. Excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna read the rest of this chapter. And then we're gonna break it down. Alright. So it says, and he rose up that night, and he took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone. Alright, so important to put in context here, Jacob sent everybody else over, but he stayed, you know what I'm saying? So he was kind of in solitude at this point, right? So, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. Okay, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince thou hast power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh and the sinew that shrank. Alright. Now, very important, very deep, you know what I'm saying? And you see this particular set of verses translated all different type of ways. But you know, like I said, I just want to share with, you know, something that the Creator's been showing me, you know, and things like that. Alright, so now when we talk about this chapter, a lot of people a lot of people like to refer this chapter as having something to do with the pineal gland, right? Jacob sees God face to face at a place called Peniel, and we know the pineal gland, which is the third eye, is sometimes symbolic for like the throne of God, right? This place of meditation, right? Where something like this can be possible. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it a little bit, man. I want to go to the Strong's real quick, because it's very interesting what I was able to find. Okay, so now we see Jacob has sent his company over the brook, and he stayed, and so he's alone and he's in solitude right now, right? Now in verse 24 it says, and Jacob was left alone, and there he wrestled a man with him, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. Now this is very interesting, because you often wonder how Jacob is wrestling with the Most High, or this angel that is a representation of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Like, how was that even possible? So, you know what I'm saying, one of the first things I did is I went into the Strongs to see what was the word used for wrestle, and it was very interesting what I found. So when you go here, you see it's H79, right? A buck. All right, so let's get it in the Blue Letter Bible with a Strong. Okay, so here the Blue Letter Bible, where we have the Strong's H79. So again, keep the last video in mind, right? Because like I said, it's going to piggyback off of that video. It's very important, right? So now, abak, verb, right? Abak, a primitive root, probably to float away as vapor, right? But used only as denominative from H80, right? Now that's very interesting, right? Because I'm like, whoa, especially after coming across the last information about the smokies, the volatile organic compounds, right? to have the high vapor rates, you know what I'm saying, the smoke, the vapor from the trees, right? So now it says a primitive root probably to float away as vapor, right? Now that was very interesting. Let's go down. Wrestle, right? The fall to wrestle, grapple, get dusted, be dusted, okay? Again, probably to float away as vapor, i.e. be dust, i.e. grapple, wrestle. Now it's very interesting what they're trying to say here. So, you know what I'm saying, let's get it real quick. It says a root used in cow which I suppose to have had the force of to pound, to make small, from the onomatopoetic syllable, okay, which as well as had the force of pounding, to drop, to distill, okay, interesting. To wrestle, constructed with the noun dust, because in wrestling the dust is raised. Alright, so now this is what they trying to do, you know what I'm saying? So they trying to say, you ever seen matter of fact, hold on one second, let's get it real quick. Okay, so you ever seen this scene right here in cartoons where them Joker go to bumping and all you see is the cloud around him and fists coming out the cloud and bam bam bing, you know what I'm saying? Alright, you know, so this is what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, like, when you wrestle and, you know, dust fly up and it gets real dusty, basically this whole cartoon dust fight cloud scene, right? Okay, right, the nomenon from abak, dust, because in wrestling the dust is raised. Alright, you see what I'm saying? So they're trying to say that when Jacob and the angel went to wrestling, all the dust and the cloud, so that's why this particular word here is used. But, you know, so we know our scriptures, it's a little bit more deeper than that, you know what I'm saying? So, now, again, keep the last drop in mind. We're talking about vapor. We're talking about clouds, right? We're talking about an angel's presence being in the cloud, being in the vapor. So it's funny they would use this particular word right here, as the word wrestle, right? When talking about a communion between man and angel, right? So now let's go to H80. Alright, so H80 is the same word, right? Abak. Okay? Abak. From H79. Abak, right? Dust is used as dust 5 times, as powder is 1. So here we got dust on ground, right? Clouds. Boom, clouds, right? Now check this out. Check out Strong's definition. Abak. From root of H79, light particles as volatile, right? Small dust, powder, okay? Very interesting, right? Remember last video we were talking about the volatile, the winged creatures, right? Angels, or volatile organic compound. You know what I'm saying? So right now the word is talking about light particles as volatile. Now, what make you why is this context being used, right? Why are these words being used for wrestle, right? When Jacob is wrestling these angels, why are words being used that have to do with light particles, volatile, and vapor, clouds, dust, you know, things like that? We seen what they tried to say, but again, that, you know what I'm saying, don't really resonate. Dust, especially small and fine. Okay, etymology, as in easily scattered by the breeze. Now this is very important, right? We're going to get to this a little later. But this is a very important drop right here. Such as a horse raises in galloping, okay. It thus differs from thicker and heavier dust, right? The dust of God's feet, okay, of the clouds on which God treads, alright? Boom. Peep it out. Okay, so coming back to the chapter, man, and seeing this portion of the chapter where Jacob is wrestling with the angel, and we, like I said, you know, when we're dealing with Peniel and Peniel, a lot of people have associated this with the pineal gland, right? The third eye, right? That all-seeing eye to see the throne of the Creator, right? Now when Jacob is wrestling, we see he's dealing with words that have a lot to do with vapor, right? Light particles, dust, clouds, volatile, right? Now remember, let's see. Remember when I showed you guys over here in Enoch, on the Wicked tab, where it has the phrase God took him, right? It used this verb meditative, right? Meditathium. Metatithemi, metatithemi. Alright. Speaking of when Enoch was translated into paradise, you know what I'm saying, or into the garden, or into heaven. Now when we look right here, we see Enoch being translated via cloud. You know what I'm saying? So now with all that being said, it made me really wonder what because like I say, when I read that word metatithemi, it made me think of meditate, like meditation, right? And again, this chapter right here, when Jacob is wrestling the angel, we know, like I said, a lot of people have associated Peniel with the pineal gland. So it really made me wonder, like, if this chapter of this particular incident in the Bible had anything to do with meditation, right? And so a lot of revelation and information was given just based on that concept, man. So we're gonna dig into it. Okay, so coming over here to meditation, we all know what meditation is, but you know what I'm saying, just get a few sources and stuff like that. So meditation, right? Meditation is a practice where individuals use a technique such as mindfulness, or focusing their mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness. All right, and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. Meditation has been practiced since antiquity in numerous religions, traditions, and beliefs, often as a part of the path toward enlightenment and self-realization. Now, this is very important, right? Very important. Since the 19th century, it has spread from its origins to other cultures where it is commonly practiced in private and business life. Alright, meditation may be used with the aim of reducing stress, anxiety, depression, and pain, and increasing peace, perception, self-concept, and well-being. Meditation is under research to define its possible health, psychological, neurological, and cardiovascular, and other effects. Now check that out. Because we talk about meditation, and we're referring to Genesis 32, right? When Jacob is wrestling the angel. Now, it's not too far-fetched that Jacob would be using a practice, because remember, he sent everybody across the brook. You know what I'm saying? He's left alone. He wants solitude, because right now he's what? He's stressed, right? He's in fear. His brother is coming after him, right? To possibly kill him. You know what I'm saying? So, like it says, meditation may be used with the aim of reducing stress, anxiety, depression, and pain, right? These are all things that we know Jacob is probably experiencing right now in this particular situation, right? And increase peace, perception, self-concept, and well-being, right? These are things that Jacob needs to calm his mind, for what he's worried about, right? So it's not too far-fetched that Jacob may be using certain techniques, you know what I'm saying, to achieve this level of peace, right, and perception, based on this, you know what I'm saying, the situation. All right. So the English meditation is derived from meditation, or meditatio, meditare, meaning to think, contemplate, devise, ponder, right? The use of the term meditatio as a part of a formal, stepwise process of meditation goes back to the 12th century monk, Guigo, however you say that, second. Okay. Apart from its historical uses, the term meditation was introduced as a translation from Eastern spiritual practices referred to as dhyana in Hinduism and Buddhism, and which comes from the Sanskrit root dhya, however you say that, dhya, I don't know, meaning to contemplate or meditate, right? The term meditation in English may refer to practices from Islamic Sufism, and other traditions such as Jewish Kabbalah and Christian Hesychasm, however you say that. Okay, so It properly uses the word meditation, and the phrase meditative practices are often used imprecisely to designate broadly similar practices or set of practices, right, that are found across many cultures and traditions. All right, what is considered meditation can include almost any practice that trains the attention or teaches calm or compassion. All right, very important, very important. Okay, so right here for real quick dictionary definitions. Thinking about something deeply, to focus one's mind for a period of time, the act of giving your attention to only one thing, right? To engage in mental exercise such as concentration on one's breathing or repetition of a mantra. Okay, the purpose of reaching a heightened level of spiritual awareness, very important. All right, so we know, especially when we're dealing with Buddhism, and Hinduism, they did a lot with the meditation, and a lot of one of the main forms of meditation you see them sitting in positions like this. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so I want to bring you over here to the Padmasana, the lotus position, as they call it, right? This meditation position right here. Right. Remember, this is also called what? Sitting Indian style, right? You know what I'm saying? So very important, especially when we're dealing with our indigenous truth, whether it be Eastern Indian, Western Indian, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? We know this position is referred to as sitting Indian style. Now, what's interesting about it is, like I say, when we're dealing with meditation, when we're dealing with the third eye, the pineal gland, right? Now we know the third eye chakra, that Ajna chakra, the third eye is usually always symbolized by a lotus flower, right? It's always shown by a lotus flower, like, you know what I'm saying? That whole chakra Ajna thing, mantra, whatever. Usually depicted, you know what I'm saying, with the lotus flower, right? So we know the lotus flower has a lot to do with the third eye, right, or the pineal gland. Okay, so now this right here is called the lotus position. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. It says the Padmasana or lotus position is a cross-legged sitting asana originating in meditative practices of ancient India, in which a foot is placed upon the opposite thigh. Okay, keep that in mind. It is an ancient asana commonly used for meditation, okay, in yoga, Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, contemplative tradition, excuse me. The asana is said to resemble a lotus, all right, to encourage breathing properly through associated meditative practices and to foster physical stability, all right. Shiva, the meditating ascetic god of Hindu, Siddhartha Gautama, the founder of Buddhism, and the Tirthankaras in Jainism have been depicted in the lotus position. All right, there you go right there. Okay, so etymology and origins. The name of the pose is from Sanskrit Padmasana, lotus throne position. Okay. This is also a term for actual thrones. Alright, so keep that, you know what I'm saying, keep that in mind. Often decorated with lotus foliage motifs on which figures are in art sit. The Hindu, Vedic, and Jain goddess of prosperity, Sri Lakshmi, sits atop a lotus flower. Alright. The pose is ancient, being one of the first asanas to be named. For example, in the 8th century, whatever that is, ain't even tried. A figure seated in lotus position on a lotus flower is shown on the dinar coins of Chandragupta II, who reigned from 380 to 415 AD. Alright. Okay, so now understand now we're digging in this, and not to get too confused and other people's traditions and culture, but we know our people taught a lot of things across the globe. You know what I'm saying? A lot of ancient sacred arts, sciences, a lot of that came from the teaching of our priests and warriors and knights, kings, all of that, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of our spiritual gurus had taught a lot of people across wherever we, you know what I'm saying, traveled and got situated and set up shop. You know what I'm saying? We taught a lot of ancient practices, and a lot of these cultures, you know what I'm saying, they kept a lot of our ancient practices and held on to them, and as you know, we went into a state of slumber. A lot of them have preserved them for us. You know what I'm saying? So, now just like I say, now just understand where I'm coming from. Not necessarily telling anybody to go and sit like this and meditate, nothing like that. But just build and rock with me as we put this in context with scripture. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let's see what else we want down here. All right, so position. All right. Now, from sitting cross-legged on the floor in Sukhasana, one foot is placed on top of the opposite thigh, all right, with its sole facing upward and heel close to the abdomen. Okay. The other foot is then placed on the opposite thigh as symmetrically as possible. All right. All right. So back at the top, this Padmasana is a cross-legged sitting asana. Alright, so let's dig on asana real quick. Okay. An asana is a body posture originally sitting from meditation, right? And later in hatha yoga and modern yoga, including reclining, standing, inverting, twisting, or balancing, as well as seated poses. Alright. Okay. Alright, so this right here, this defines asana as to be seated in a position that is steady but relaxed. Okay. Patanjali mentions the ability to sit for extended periods as one of the 8 limbs of his system. Okay. Alright, so jump down right here. It says asanas were claimed to provide both spiritual and physical benefits in medieval hatha yoga texts. More recently, they have been claimed to improve flexibility, strength, and balance, and to reduce stress, right, and conditions related to it, all right, and specifically to alleviate some disease such as asthma and diabetes. Interesting. All right, let's jump down. Etymology. Asana is derived from Sanskrit asana, sitting down, right, as to sit down, a sitting posture, a seat, right? The word is first used in English to mean yoga posture in 1834. All right, so now let's dig into this right here. Context. Yoga originated in India. In his Yoga Sutras, Patanjali describes asana practice as the third of the 8 limbs, right, of classical or Raja Yoga. The 8 limbs are in order the yamas, codes of social conduct, the niyamas, self-observances, asanas, postures, pranayamas, breathwork, pratyahara, sense withdrawal or non-attachment, and dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, the realization of true self or Atman, and unity with Brahman, ultimate reality. Alright, asanas, along with the breathing exercise of pranayama, are the physical movements of hatha yoga. Patanjali describes asanas as a steady and comfortable position. Speak for yourself. Nah, let me try. Nah, I'm pretty sure with training and stuff like that, you know, it can become that. Referring to the seated posture used for pranayama and for meditation. He further states that meditation is the path to samadhi, transpersonal self-realization. Very important. Now we're going to dig into why this is very important for the scriptural context, right, of Genesis 32. Alright, now first I want to start off with breath work, right? Pranayama, one of the 8 limbs. We're going to dig into breath work, pranayama. Alright, so over here to pranayama. Excuse me. Now, as I'm reading this stuff, again, I want you to keep Genesis 32 in mind, right? Keep the context of Jacob wrestling with the angel, all that in mind, alright? But we're going to break it down. But like I said, as I'm reading, just keep it in mind. Okay, now, so Pranayama is a Sanskrit word, alternatively translated as extension of the prana, breath or life force, right, or breath control. The word is composed from two Sanskrit words, prana, meaning life force, noted particularly as the breath, and either ayama, to restrain or control the prana, implying a set of breathing techniques where the breath is intentionally altered in order to produce specific results. All right, keep that in mind. Okay, or the negative form ayama, meaning to extend or draw out, right, as an extension of the life force. It is a yoga discipline with origins in ancient India. Okay, so real quick, actually no, let's keep going. Etymology, pranayama, right? Let's see we want here. Okay, we got breath, respiration, the breath of life, vital air, principle of life, right? Okay, energy, vigor, the spirit or soul. Okay, of these meanings, the concept of vital air is used as bhattakarya to describe the concept as used in Sanskrit texts dealing with pranayama. Alright, Thomas McEvely translates prana as spirit energy. The breath is understood to be its most subtle material form, but is also believed to be present in the blood, alright, and as well as men's semen and women's vaginal fluid. Alright, so let's see. The technical definition refers to a particular system of breath control, three processes, right? Take breath inside, all right, then to retain it, and then to discharge it. Okay, so pranayama, all right, also as suspension of the breath. Okay, let's see what we got. The first three meanings have to do with length, expansion, extension, stretching, extending. But in specific case of use, the compound pranayama, he defines ayama as meaning to restrain, control, stop it. Alright, very important, because one thing we know, we talking about breath, right? Look at some etymology real quick. Alright, come over here to spirit, right? Now remember, Jacob is wrestling with the angel, right? We know from, even from Psalms, is it 104, I believe, 104 and 4, that the Most High maketh his angels spirits. Alright, now, spirit, we know, has a lot to do with breath, right? Of breathing, right? Respiratory, of wind, breath of a God, right? Breath of life, right? Animating or vital principle, right? Some of the same things we find when we're dealing with pranayama, as well as what? Angel, okay? So, when we're dealing with spirit, we know we're dealing with breath, the breath of life, vital principle, life force, right? Things of that nature, spirit, essence. Okay, now pranayama, right? It said that right here in either ayama means to restrain or control the prana. So we talking about restraining or controlling the breath, the life force, right? Which is the spirit, right? Remember, vital air, principle of life, spirit, right? So now we're talking about restrain. So okay, so now when we're talking about restrain means to prevent someone or something from doing something, keep under control within limits, right? Okay, deprive someone of freedom of movement or personal liberty. Now keep this in mind. Alright, so coming back to the asana page, right, we just digged on one of the 8 limbs, which was pranayama. Now let's dig on another one, which is this dharana. Dharana, right? Alright, dharana. Dharana is translated as collection or concentration of the mind, joined with retention of the breath, right? So we know the retention of the breath, we're dealing with the pranayama. Alright, so now this aspect is joined with it, right? It says, or the act of holding, bearing, wearing, supporting, maintaining, retaining, keeping back in remembrance, a good memory or firmness, steadfast certainty. The term is related to the root diri, to hold, carry, maintain, resolve. Dharana is the noun, all right? So Dharana is the sixth stage, step, or limb of the eight elucidated by Patanjali's yada yada yada, Raja Yoga. For a detailed account of the eight limbs, refer to Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Right, we just here for the meat, right? You know what I'm saying? We really want the bones. We just here for the meat. All right, Dharana may be translated as holding steady concentration or single focus, right? The prior limb, Pratyahara, involves withdrawing the senses from external phenomena. Dharana builds further upon this by refining it further to Ekgarata, Chitta, that is single point concentration and focus, which is the context, which is in this context cognate with samatha. Alright. Okay. The mind thinks about one object and avoids other thoughts. Awareness of the object is still interrupted. Okay. Dharana is the initial step of deep concentrative meditation, where the object being focused upon is held in the mind without consciousness wavering from it. Alright, the difference between Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, their integration in constituting Samayana, is that in the former, the object of meditation, the mystic, and the act of meditation itself remain separate. That is, the mystic or the mystic's meta-awareness is consciousness of meditating. Alright, that is conscious of the act of meditation, right, on an object and of one's own self, which is concentrating on the object. As the seer becomes more advanced, dwelling in the subsequent stage of dhyana, right, concentration, consciousness of the act of meditation disappears, okay, and only the consciousness of being existing, alright, and the object of concentration register in the mind. Okay, in the final stage of samadhi, the ego mind also dissolves and the seer becomes one with the object. Generally, the object concentration is God or the self, which is an expression of God. Alright, very important. Alright, so I know there's a lot of meditative jargon in there, but it's very deep, right? One thing we got to understand is the dharana is joined with the retention of the breath, but it also denotes the holding, bearing, wearing, supporting, maintaining, retaining, keeping back. Alright, remember, dharana is translating as holding steady. Okay, we go back to pranayama. We know we're dealing with restraining or controlling the life breath. The life force, which is the breath, right? So going back real quick, we see we talking about holding steady, right? Holding, restraining, maintaining. Alright, so let's put this in context, right? So we look here at verse 24. It says, "And Jacob was left alone. There he wrestled with a man with him until the breaking of the day." So pretty much all night, right? And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. Okay. Now, check it out. It say, "And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." Now think about it. Jacob is wrestling with the angel. Now we know the Most High maketh his angels spirits. So if Jacob is in a meditative state, and he is implementing certain practices of what? Of pranayama, right? In dharana, right? Which we dealing with what? The holding, right? You know what I'm saying? Holding steady. You know what I'm saying? Going back to the pranayama, we dealing with what? Breath control, restrain. You feel what I'm saying? Control of the prana. You feel what I'm saying? Stuff like that. We know from restraint, we talking about what? To prevent someone or something from doing something, right? Or to deprive someone of freedom of movement. So if they wrestling, right, the angel has to tell Jacob, "Let me go." Because Jacob has what? Jacob is holding him. He has a hold on him. He's restraining them, retaining them from leaving, right? All right, so just put this in context when we're talking about meditative practices such as breath, right? Holding the breath, retaining the breath, you know what I'm saying? Controlling it from going in and going out. You feel what I'm saying? Understand this in context. Okay, so we're gonna come over here, touch on another limb, right? This Pratyahara, alright? Alright, Pratyahara. Okay. Pratyahara, or the withdrawal of the senses, is the fifth element along with the 8 stages of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. As mentioned in his classical work, it is the first stage of the 6 branches of yoga. It is also the first stage of 6-branch yoga of Buddhist Kalakara Tantra, where it refers to the withdrawal of the 5 senses from external objects to be replaced by the mentally created sense of an enlightened deity. Alright, peep this now, peep this. Okay, jump down. For Patanjali, it is a bridge between Biranja, external aspects of yoga, namely yama, niyama, asana, and pranayama, and the antaranja, internal yoga. Okay, so having actualized the Pratyahara stage, a practitioner is able to effectively engage into the practice of samyana. Alright, now check this out. At the stage of Pratyahara, the consciousness of the individual is internalized, right? The consciousness of the individual is internalized in order that the sensation from the senses of taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smell don't reach their respective centers in the brain, and takes the sadhaka practitioner to the next stages of yoga, namely dharana, which is concentration, right? Dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, mystical absorption, being the aim of all the yoga practices. All right, so understand this, right? Now, what this is talking about is this is a stage of meditation to where, like it says, the sensation from these senses of taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smell don't reach their respective centers of the brain, right? So now understand pain. Now, when we go and look at this position, you know what I'm saying, where your foot is resting upon one thigh, right? Each foot is placed upon the opposite thigh, okay? This is not necessarily the most comfortable position unless you train and such, and being in a certain period, a certain position for a long amount of time can get, you know, it might can get a little uncomfortable. But if you in the state of meditation such as Pratyahara, that pain won't reach that, you know what I'm saying, those respective centers in the brain to let you know that, you know what I'm saying, it's pain down there because you're in deep meditation right now. So we go back to the script and we see Jacob, right? It says, think about it. In 24, and Jacob was left alone, and there he wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. So he's wrestling with this angel all night. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go except thou bless me." Okay, now understand, Jacob has got into meditation for a specific reason. He is in distress, he's stressed, he's anxious, he needs answers. You feel me? So he is restraining, holding, you feel what I'm saying, the breath, the spirit, the angel, right, all night, not letting him go because he needs answers. You see what I'm saying? In this state of meditation that he's in, right? The angel being withheld and restrained for so long is like, yo, you've been holding me all night, bro. You got to let me go. You know what I'm saying? So he touches the hollow of his thigh, you feel what I'm saying, to kind of induce some type of pain. Because like I say, look at the position of meditation. That's, you know what I'm saying, I'm not implying that Jacob is sitting in this position, but let's just look at it in context. Now look at your you know what I'm saying, your joint, right? At the hollow of your thigh. You know what I'm saying? Now, so sitting in this position for a very long time and holding his breath so long, or retaining it, controlling it, doing whatever meditative practices he's doing with the breath, but we know he's restraining, he's holding, he's maintaining it, right? That could be very dangerous. You feel what I'm saying? Because you know you need to breathe to live. So whatever Jacob's doing, it could be like, you know what I'm saying, putting a lot of stress on his body and stuff like that. So the angel, the breath, right, is trying to, you know what I'm saying, create some type of pain factor to wake bro up. Like yo, you know what I'm saying, he knock his thigh out of joint. You know what I'm saying, just to induce some type of pain, so bro will stop, so he can get out of this position and stop holding the breath, stop holding the spirit, right? The spirit say what? He say, let me go, for the day breaketh. You know what I'm saying? But Jacob need answers right now, so he not going nowhere. He's in complete meditation. You feel me? Alright, so with the angel seeing that Jacob's not letting him go, that he cannot prevail against him, because this is a very faithful man. Just imagine the faith that takes to sit in a meditative state, you know what I'm saying, holding, you know, practicing these practices, like I say, like the article said, it's a discipline, you know what I'm saying? So imagine the discipline that takes to practice that, and the faith it takes to continuously practice that, restraining the breath and stuff like that, because you need answers from the Creator, right? So as the angel seeing, like, okay, this dude is not letting go, you know what I'm saying, of the breath, of the spirit, right? The angel, right? The prana, you know what I'm saying? He not letting go. And he's not allowing it, you know what I'm saying, to move. Like he say, let me go, for the day break. Like, bro, you been holding me all night. You know what I'm saying? So he tries to, you know what I'm saying, touches the hollow of his thigh and make his thigh go out of joint, just so Jacob can stop, get back to breathing, get out of this position. You feel what I'm saying? But we know through the steps of meditation, the pratyahara, let's go get it real fast, that wouldn't be possible, right? Because the senses, sensations from senses, taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smell, don't reach their respective centers in the brain, right? And takes the practitioner to the next step. So a lot of the things that agitate you while you're sitting up here trying to focus, that's distraction. But in this state, once you reach this level, those things don't really register. So you can reach that higher level, you feel what I'm saying, of meditation. But right here, we see if Jacob is in this state of meditation and concentration, touching his thigh and putting it out of joint ain't going to do nothing to Jacob, which is why he's still wrestling. He's still fighting with the angel even afterwards. Okay, so coming back over here to the asana, we're reading about the 8 limbs, right? We see you know, these postures and stuff like that, these practices that are used for meditation. But check out the last sentence, right? The last sentence is very important, right? He further states that meditation is the path to samadhi, transpersonal self-realization. All right, now that's very important. Why is that important? All right, before we explain why, let's get dhyana right here. Dhyana, right? Dhyana means contemplation and meditation, right? Remember, like I said, this is the word that was used for meditation, you know what I'm saying? Dhyana is taken up in yoga exercises and is a means to samadhi and self-knowledge, okay? The various concepts of dhyana and its practice originated Vedic era of Hinduism, and the practice has been influential within the diverse traditions of Hinduism. Alright, it is in Hinduism a part of self-directed awareness. Alright, in unifying yoga process by which the yogi realizes self, right? Atum, soul, one's relationship with other living beings, alright, and ultimate reality. Okay, very important. Remember, right? Meditation is the path to samadhi, transpersonal self-realization. Alright. The Riyama, right, is a process by which the yogi realizes self, right, and his relationship with other beings, ultimate reality, right, and self-knowledge. Now, this is very important. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into it. All right. So like we say, you know what I'm saying, we see Jacob is in a state of meditation. You know what I'm saying? He's holding the breath, the spirit, the angel, the prana. You know what I mean? Not letting it go. He's disciplined. He's very disciplined. The spirit, the breath itself cannot prevail against him because of his discipline and faith. So it tries to, you know what I'm saying, instill some type of pain and dislocate his joint. Because, like I said, when you look at the position, you can see how that's very possible for sitting in that position for a long time, right? Where your feet is on the opposite thigh. You feel what I'm saying? So the thigh is not put out of joint to kind of see if they can wake Jacob up to let the breath go. You know what I'm saying? So he can breathe and, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But, you know what I'm saying, Jacob is in a state of pratyahara right now. So that's not really going to do nothing. So he's still fighting. He's still wrestling because that pain hasn't reached his brain to let him know that he's in pain or that his thigh's been put out of joint, right? So with all that being said, so Jacob was like, nah, like I'm not removing myself from this state of meditation until I get some answers, right? Because that's what we go into meditation for anyways, to get answers, right? To relieve stress, calm, you know what I'm saying, to get calm and relieve anxiety and depression and things like that. But to seek answers, right? To meditate and commune with the Creator and seek answers. Now, so upon him saying that I'm not letting you go until you bless me, right? Verse 27 states, and he said, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince thou hast power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. So what are we looking at here? Through meditation, we see that Jacob has reached an ultimate state of self-realization, right? He has received his purpose, right? His name, right? Which denotes character. You feel what I'm saying? Like I said, right? Is a part of self-directed awareness, right? Unifying yoga process by which the yogi realizes self, atom, soul, and one's relationship with other living beings, right? He was called what? Israel, because he is a prince. He has power with God and men. So Jacob is now realizing his self-awareness. He is getting self-knowledge. You know what I'm saying? He's coming into self-realization, understanding who and what he is and his relationship to other men and other entities, right? Because he is Israel. He has power with God and with men, right? With Elohim, with angels, and with men, right? So he's understanding his relationship with other living beings as well as realizing self, right? And purpose. Right, so as we continue to say, and Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there, right? So now Jacob is like, well, what's your name? But the angel is like, you know, wherefore is it, like, why are you asking my name? Like, what is that, you know what I'm saying, what is that going to do? What's the purpose? Because right now, your state of meditation, this is for your self-realization, right? This is for you to understand self. This is not for you to understand who I am, this, that, and the third. Of who I am is not important. This is all about you, right? This is all about your self-realization. You know what I'm saying? Your self-knowledge, your self-awareness, and you learning your purpose, who you are, your name, your character, and your relationship with other living beings. It's not for anything else but that. You feel what I'm saying? This is for you. This is for self-realization, right? So the angel is like, you know, my name, it don't really matter what my name is, as long as you know who you are and your purpose and your function. You feel what I'm saying? So it says, and Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, right? For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. You feel what I'm saying? Especially when you're doing practices with the breath, holding, restraining, breathing, all those things, right? You can see it's definitely a big deal that your life is preserved. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So putting all that in context, man. Actually, it's another piece that I want to share with you guys as well before we give our synopsis. Right, so coming over here, we'll touch on the samadhi real quick. Alright. And it refers to the state of meditative consciousness, right? In yoga traditions and the Buddhist commentarial traditions on which the Burmese Vipassana movement and Thai forest tradition rely, it is a meditative absorption or trance, obtained by the practice of Dharma, right? Alright, so in the oldest Buddhist suttas on which vary several contemporary Western Theravada teachers rely, it refers to the development of a luminous mind which is equanimous and mindful. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna jump down a little bit. Samadhi is a meditative absorption obtained by the practice of dharana, right? Non-dualistic state of consciousness in which consciousness of the experiencing subject becomes one with the experienced object. Okay. Sakman, Shankman, an abiding in which mind becomes very still but does not merge with the object of attention and thus is able to observe and gain insight into the changing flow of experience. Alright. Soundless state, breathlessness, a blissful superconscious state in which a yogi perceives the identity of the individualized soul and cosmic spirit. Alright, peep this, right? Sum together to hold, right? Acquire integration, wholeness, truth, putting or joining together, you know. Alright, so I'm gonna jump down a little bit, man, because it was something interesting I was seeing down here. Alright, so right here, man, it was something very interesting I was seeing right in the first and second dhyana, right, which means concentration of meditation, right? It says the first dhyana can be entered when one is secluded from sensuality and unskillful qualities, right? The piti, rapture, and non-sensual sukha, pleasure. Okay, I'm gonna jump down to the second one. It says there is piti, rapture, and non-sensual sukha, pleasure as a result of concentration. Okay, born of samadhi. Alright, now that was very interesting because of this word right here, right? Rapture. Alright, so let's dig on piti real quick. Okay, piti in Pali, or pretty, piti, piti, sounds like pity, right? Mercy, or something, It says according to Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, piti is a stimulating, exciting, and energizing quality as opposed to the calmness of sukha, right? Piti is joyful, samskara formation associated with no object, so the practitioner is not obtained it by desire. It is often translated with the English word rapture, and is distinguished from the longer lasting meditative joy or happiness, which is a subtler feeling that arises from piti. Okay, alright. Know what I'm saying? So, like I say, it says it is often translated with the English word rapture. Now that's very interesting because you got to wonder why that is. All right, let's get some etymology, right? Rapture, noun. Okay, circa 1600, act of carrying off, right? Rapture, seizure, rape, kidnapping. All right, raptors, a carrying off, right? Abducting, snatching away, right? Rape. Okay. A sense of spiritual ecstasy, state of mental transport. Boom. Check that out. Alright. Remember, when Enoch, what? Down here in Septuagint, what it says, well, God took him, right? We see Enoch floating away in the cloud, right? The word they use has a piece of like meditate in it, right? Meditithemy, right? Moving from one place to another. Right, we see when Jacob is he's wrestling with the angel, that word, it means to float away, right, as vapor, right? Coming denominative with H80, about dust, clouds, right? Light particle as volatile. We know volatile has a lot to do with rising, right? rising up, right? As things begin to get volatile, they begin to rise up. Just like when we say when a situation get volatile, we know it gets heated. It gets, you know what I'm saying? The shit gets escalated. You know what I'm saying? So so we can see just with these instances, you know what I'm saying, with Jacob wrestling with the angel, and it getting volatile, or he's floating away as in dust, a vapor, and Enoch is being taken, and they're using the word as a root that sounds like meditate. And we look over here at rapture, and we see it has a lot to do with spiritual ecstasy, a state of mental transport, right, a carrying off. And this is one of the things that we get from studying meditation, right, which is the path to samadhi. Right, I know I'm bouncing around, y'all just bear with me. Meditation is the path to samadhi, transpersonal self-realization. So when we was digging on samadhi, we got these stages where one of these things called piti, right, which is also the English word for rapture, right? So, man, very interesting, man, very interesting indeed. When we see this instance where we think Jacob is literally fighting with an angel, but we got to think, like, how is that even possible, or what does that even mean? But when we take into account, right, the pineal gland, meditation, right, meditation, things like that, we can see the possible relevance, right, and resemblance of Jacob being in a meditative position, right, where his feet are upon opposing thighs, right, which can be very uncomfortable if you're sitting in that joker for a long period of time. But since he's so deep in the meditation, holding on to the spirit, the breath, not letting it go, restraining it, you feel what I'm saying, all night. You know what I'm saying? And the injuries don't even bother him. It don't bother him until what? Until he gets up. In verse 31, it says, and he passed over Peniel, and as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh, right? So he went limping, right? So really, you know what I'm saying, the thigh ain't really affect him. The thigh being placed out of joint didn't really affect him until he got out of his state of meditation. Then once he got out of his state of meditation, you know what I'm saying, he got up, went on his way, and he got up limping. Alright, so just take everything in mind and keep all that in context, man. You know, clear your mind, you know what I'm saying, get into your meditative practices, not the way they say that, hey, you know, that's for you to figure out, but clear your mind, focus on the Creator. You feel what I'm saying? For answers, focus continually. You feel what I'm saying? Without distraction. You know what I'm saying? Because answers are obtained this way, and self-realization, all that. You know what I'm saying? So just, you know, keep that in mind, because what we're talking about seeing God, right? And when we get into that wilderness, that's something that becomes a possible reality when we get into proximity with the Shekinah. And so that's very important, because when we get in proximity with the Shekinah, self-realization and purpose, a lot of those things are going to come into play, especially when we receive our divine law as well as our divine identity, right, in connection with our divine Creator who gives us that. So let's go. Okay, so with that out of the way, now to the more difficult part of the information. Right, is getting into the science and the biblical scientific explanation to how the presence of the Creator is in the cloud, right? So like I say, very intricate, man, very complex, so you got to bear with me, you know what I'm saying, and things like that, but you know, nevertheless, we're gonna tackle it. So like I say, you know, we've been dealing on the divine Shekinah, and its presence in the cloud, right? And now when we talk about the divine Shekinah, when we're talking about seeing God, the reason why that aspect was important is because we know the cherubim are one of the main ways we're able to see the Creator, because they provide what we call the chariot of the Creator, right? These cherubim provide the chariot that the Creator rides on. So with their with wherever they are at, you know what I'm saying, and are joined together, they provide this chariot in which the divine Shekinah is riding upon. You feel what I'm saying? So as you see here, we're looking at you know, a depiction of Ezekiel's vision. You know what I'm saying? And as you can see, the Shekinah of the divine presence of the Creator bursting out the clouds with the chariots below. Now remember, in the last video we were talking about these these earthly mother angels as being volatile organic compounds. Really, organic compounds. Volatile meaning they're winged, right? So if we see these creatures all winged, that would make them volatile. You know what I'm saying? Based on definition and etymology. Alright, so these winged creatures, they provide, like I say, the chariot that provides the Shekinah, right? The glory of the Most High. So we're gonna get into that, man. We're gonna dig into that because it's very deep, man. And like I say, this is gonna prove how the divine Shekinah is in the cloud, right? Remember last video we was talking about the great smoky mountains, the smoke emitted from the trees, the volatile organic compounds in the smoke, the spirit, the angels being housed in it, the presence, right? The divine Shekinah from the pillar of cloud, things like that. So now we're gonna get into the science, the biblical science on what this is really talking about. Okay, man. So just want to dig on the cherubim a little bit, because you know, a lot of times our perception of what the cherubim are a little, you know, misconstrued or shaped by, you know, personal and whose ever interpretation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, and whatnot. So just to kind of clear some things up, we have to understand, like, the cherubim are a very complex ideal. You know what I'm saying? They're a very complex concept, if you will. And they don't just particularly denote like a class of angels. I mean, that's what they are. They are angels. Angels are really anything that administers law, right? The law of the Creator. Anything that administers law, some type of law or principality of the Creator, that can be viewed as an angel, right? Now, and these cherub do that. I'm saying, so now when we see cherub, we often just see them depict a certain way. Not as your typical angels, you know what I'm saying? You see them depicted like this, and there's reasons for that, because it's what the cherub represents. So what I want to do, I want to come over here to a video, man, with our cherub by this professor, or whatever he is, man. But he's actually giving some good information on him, because he's pulling you back from that that perspective that's kind of the norm when we're dealing with certain, you know, angels and stuff like that. And he's taking you to, like, you know, some literal and historical contextual aspects of these angels. You feel what I'm saying? And it's very interesting, right? So like I said, I want to dig into it, and yeah, we're gonna chop it up afterwards. Let's go.
Here's one with the body of a bull. This is from Dur-Sharukin, a Khorsabad, a Lamassu from the 8th century BC. Again, this time a huge body, an ox, wings, and a human head with horns. We go on to Persia, again to Persepolis, and the doorway into the palace is guarded by these two monstrous figures of bulls with human heads and eagles' wings spread out above. The palace of Darius I. Archaeology shows us then the combination of lion, ox, man, and eagle was part of the iconography, the imagery, the artistry of the ancient Near East. The combination could take various forms, usually including large, powerful wings, human head, and the body of a lion or an ox, or if you prefer, a bull. The Lamassu Oshedu, what was the message? This is what I feel they were saying. Look at these creatures. You are walking into the palace. They have the strength of a bull, the terrible majesty of a lion, the awesome power and speed of an eagle in flight, and more than human intelligence. They're watching you. These are guardians of the royal presence. You are approaching the great king. The Lamassu Oshedu, what was the message? This is what I feel they were saying. Look at these creatures. You are walking into the palace. They have the strength of a bull, the terrible majesty of a lion, the awesome power and speed of an eagle in flight, and more than human intelligence. They're watching you. These are guardians of the royal presence. You are approaching the great king. Tread carefully. Be reverent. Show respect. Know where you are. Feel your place. So, cherubim are also seen supporting the throne of a king. Let me give you an example. This is a little detail.
Okay, so very interesting perspective indeed, man. Very important key to understand these cherub, right? The fact that they are symbolic representations of multiple principles together, right? And a very interesting aspect in that as well is the fact that sometimes they represent principles from different elements, right? They represent a combination of a very powerful land animal and then the combination of a very powerful air animal, right? The eagle, right? When that flies in the air, right? So now this is very important to understand this combination of principles to represent a particular principality or angel, right? In the scriptures. So man, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you were able to take something from it, man. But you know what I'm saying, nevertheless, let's keep moving. Okay, so real quick, man, before we go into Ezekiel's vision, I want to come over here to this real quick, and there's just one thing I want to out of it. I done said it 100 times, but I still just want to get it in some type of source somewhere. Just to kind of show like someone else is basically saying the same thing or seeing too. And this might not be the best source. I know I've seen some other ones, but I couldn't really find them, so I just, for the sake of time, I just kind of pulled up this one, right? The Ascension communions with the angels, right? So, you know, we're not going to get into, you see a lot of Jesus this and Jesus that, but we know what it is when we're dealing with our Ascension records. We really got nothing to do with that. So, right here, this is all I want right here. It says, no, what we are shown all the time looks like the Greek depiction of the pre-Christian goddess Nike, right? Goddess of victory, and the ditto Roman Cupido, right? It was in Greek, right? The little baby that they always trying to show, right? For the cherubim, right? The angel, the little baby with wings. Alright, but definitely not like the cherub, angel of Mother Earth, and the seraph, angel of the Heavenly Father. Alright, now that's what I wanted to show, right? Right there, I just wanted to get that. cherub are the earthly mother angels, right? Especially when we're talking about what lion, ox, bull, eagle. We know these are all earthly elements, earthly animals, right? Man, right? You know what I'm saying? Then not only that, but we talking about angels, these particular class of angels being organic compounds, right? Something that's very prevalent in nature, something that creates life here on earth, right? It has a lot of different functions, but again, these cherubim are the earthly mother's angels, right? These are the angels of earth. Alright, so here's where this thing gets crazy, right? We over here at Ezekiel 1, man. We're going to run through this chapter, man, and try to break it down to the best of our ability, very deep, man. This is one of those things to where you have a lot of people that like to, talk about the Bible and what it is and what it ain't. But when you understand the mysteries that are deep within, these scripts are very, very profound, especially from who they came from. You know what I'm saying? From the indigenous people that created them. The knowledge that our ancestors had, the way they were able to hide it in concepts for the descendants in the latter days is a very profound phenomenon, man. I must say myself. So, like I say, man, this right here is pretty deep, man. It's pretty heavy, very complex. I'm gonna do my best with it, but you know what I'm saying? Just rock with me, man, and work with me, So I'm gonna run through the chapter, we're gonna read it, we're gonna come back and try to break it down, alright? So Ezekiel, starting at verse 1. Ezekiel in Babylon. Now it came to pass in the 13th year and in the 4th month of the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Jabar, that the heavens were open and I saw visions of God. Okay. Very important, right? In the 5th day of the month, which was the fifth year of the king Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Jabar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. Alright, so the glory of the Lord. So in verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was round about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, and out of the midst of fire. Excuse me. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. Alright, and this was their appearance. Okay, they had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. They had the hands of a man under their wings. They had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went out. They went everyone straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they had the face of a man, the face of a lion, and on the right side, they had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 had also the face of an eagle. Thus with their faces and their wings were stretched upward, 2 wings on every side, and 2 wings of everyone were joined to one another, and 2 covered their bodies. Okay, and they went everyone straight forward, whether the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and the likeness of appearance of lamps, and it went up and down among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. Alright? And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. And that now, as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. And they 4 had one likeness and their appearance had their work. Was it where a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So let me read that again. And their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Sorry about that. When they went, they went upon their four sides, right? And they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their wings were full of eyes round about them four. And when the living creatures went, and the wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheel. Alright, in the wheels. Alright, peep that out. Alright, when those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of a terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had two which covered the sides. Every one had two which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters. Peep that. As the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood, and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above it. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had a brightness round about it, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Okay, so very, very, man, complex, and man, just a lot of detail. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, very deep. So again, like I say, this right here is this. From my studies and from what I've been shown, this right here is purely scientific, man. This is straight chemistry. You know what I'm saying? Very deep stuff that's going on right here. You know, with this chapter talking about Ezekiel. Ezekiel saw the wheel, the Ezekiel wheels. You know the stuff, the chariots, right? Remember these cherubim are creating what is a chariot for the Most High to ride on, right? His throne sits upon it. And he rides upon it, just like we were seeing in the video with some cherubim. They hold the throne, they support the throne of a king. A lot of things of that nature. But so we're gonna break it down, man, and get into it. First things first, man. When you're looking at verse 4, what we see Ezekiel is looking and beholding a whirlwind that came out of north, a great cloud, right? So he's looking at a great cloud, right? So everything he's seeing in this vision is literally dealing with a cloud. Whatever he's seeing is in the cloud. You see what I'm saying? And we know he's dealing with the glory of the Lord, the divine Shekinah, the throne that rides upon the chariots. So this verse right here is literally showing you the presence of the Creator in the cloud. You see what I'm saying? And how that is, right? So, all right. So it says, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures, right? And this was their appearance. They had the appearance, they had the likeness of a man. Now it's interesting when you go to the Strongs, right? And And the word that they have here for living creatures is hay, right? Hay. Now it's interesting because when you go to Genesis chapter 3 and you see the cherub, right? The cherub that's at the gate of Eden, right? With the flaming sword, right? To keep the way of the tree of life. The word for life right here is the same word, right? Hey. You feel what I'm saying? So very interesting. Okay, real quick, just since we talking about living creatures, life, things of that nature, I want to bring you over real fast to organism, right? In biology, an organism is any individual entity that exhibits the properties of life, right? It is a synonym for life form, right? Organisms are classified by taxonomy into specified groups such as multicellular animals, plants, and fungi, or unicellular microorganisms such as protists, bacteria, and archaea. All types of organisms are capable of reproduction, growth, and development, maintenance, and some degree of response to stimuli. Alright, go right here to life forms real quick. Life forms, life form, right, life form. An entity that is living, right, such as a plant, plants and animals. Alright, so, so Ezekiel is looking at living creatures, right, which are life forms, which is organisms, right, which is important because we know in organisms, we got that root again, right, organ, right. So remember from the last video, we was digging on organic compounds. In chemistry, an organic compound is generally any chemical compound that contains carbon, right? Consisting mainly of hydrocarbons, very important, right? Because we know that these are the basic foundation building blocks of life, right? These organic compounds, these hydrocarbons, right? Everywhere the Creator's been creating, we know carbon is there, right? Now this is a very important concept. Especially dealing with these organic compounds. Like we say, these are angels. These do the work of the Creator. The work of the Creator is to create, right? And so these particular compounds help them do that amongst a variety of other things. All right. So let's get back to. Okay. So first and foremost, now with this chapter, with the glory of the Lord, starting here at Ezekiel 1 verse 4, like I say, very complex chapter, so I'm gonna bounce around here and there, you know what I'm saying, so try to hit on, you know what I'm saying, try to keep it in order, but the way it's worded, I'm gonna have to start here at 13 to kind of convey, what I'm trying to convey. So, starting at verse 13, it says, "As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire," right? And like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. Now we know, even just since we're talking about coals, we know coals is one of the main way we produce electricity, right? Now that's very interesting for some of the other stuff that's in here. But since we're talking about these organic compounds being the angels, right? The angels of the earthly mother, the cherubim. Let's dig into something a little bit. Okay, so alright, so carbon, right? Non-metallic element occurring naturally as diamond, graphite, or charcoal. Right, coined in 1787 by French Lavoisier as charbon, right? From Latin carbonum, nominative carbo, right? Glowing coal, glowing coal, charcoal, okay, heat, fire, alright? So you can see here, the etymology of carbon literally comes from coal, right? Glowing coal, charcoal. Alright, now that's very interesting. That's very important. Okay, so back to organic compound. We know an organic compound is generally any chemical compound that contains carbon. Alright, down here it says most synthetically produced organic compounds are ultimately derived from petrochemicals consisting mainly of hydrocarbons. Now, hydrocarbons, that's where the drop at, right? These, like I said, these are some of the basic fundamentals of life, of creation, right? These hydrocarbons. Alright, so now in organic chemistry, a hydrocarbon is an organic compound consisting entirely of hydrogen and carbon. Alright, now this is very important, right? Okay, right, because we just dug on the likeness of the living creatures and how it was like a burning coal, right, which is literally the etymological root of carbon, right? This is really what carbon comes from. It comes from a heated coal, a glowing coal, burning coal. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same in etymology once you when you dig into it, right? So hold on one second. All right, just real quick, right? The glow. To glow, shine as if red hot, right? Glow, blaze. Shine, shine, you know what I mean? Stargaze upon, go back real fast. Because this word right here, burning, glowing, hot, right? So the glowing coal is essentially the same as the burning coal, right? Okay, so now we see that the appearance of the likeness of the four living creatures are like a burning coal, right? When we see that's basically the etymological root of carbon. Now we know that these living creatures, they have wings, right? Four in particular in this particular chapter. Okay. Now, so remember, we're digging on organic compounds, and volatile organic compounds, remember, was what? It means winged, right? So volatile, 1590s, fine or light, all right, evaporating rapidly, okay, volatile is fleeting, transitory, swift, rapid, flying, winged, okay, volare, to fly, see volant, a sense of readily changing, flighty, fickle, right? Volatiles in Middle English meant birds, butterflies, and other winged creatures, right? So anything that had wings, it would be called volatile, right? Or volatile. Any winged creature would be called volatile. Alright. Okay, so when we're dealing with volatile, we know in a sense, especially when we're dealing with organic compounds, when organic compounds become volatile, they do what? They produce vapor, right? Mist, steam, you know what I'm saying? They produce that vapor, okay, like the smoke, all right, from the Smoky Mountains. Now, it's interesting because you know, even right here in verse 24, it says, and they went, and I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters. Now, that's very interesting, all right, because when we're digging on these hydrocarbons, these organic compounds, specifically these hydrocarbons, we know that they contain of hydrogen and carbon, right? And we know the carbon, right, is that burning coal. Now, when we go to hydrogen, we know the root of hydrogen is hydro. Hydro is what? It literally means water, right? Combining the form of hydor, water, right? Water, wet. Alright, also sometimes combined forms of hydrogen, right? We'll go to hydrogen real quick. Colorless, gaseous element, you feel what I'm saying? Da 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 da. Stem from hydor, water, right? Water, wet, alright? Producing, right? Okay, so we know that, right? So called because it forms water when exposed to oxygen. Alright, so we know hydro has a lot to do with water. So with a carbohydrate, or excuse me, a hydrocarbon, we know we have a molecule, a carbon atom surrounded by hydrogen molecules. Now, if you have a burning coal, or if you have a hot burning coal and you throw it in the water, what are you going to get? You're going to get mist. You're going to get vapor, steam, right? So understand, when the living creatures have this form or appearance of carbon, and then they have wings around them because they're volatile, and their wings have the sound of great waters, just rock with me. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep digging. Okay, jumping back to the scriptures real quick, we see right here, it's in verse 6, it says, and every one had 4 faces, and one had 4 wings. Alright, so let's dig a little bit real quick. Okay, so right here I want to show you guys a carbon molecule, right? And basically what you're seeing for the most part is a very basic carbon molecule, right? The simplest carbon, hydrocarbon, if you will, which is methane, right? CH4. So as you can see, you have a carbon molecule, then you have 4 hydrocarbons surrounding it. Excuse me, 4 hydrogen atoms surrounding it. Now this is methane, which is gas, right? This is gas, all right? So that's very important as well. You know what I'm saying? But just wanted to show you this, just show you the simplest form of an organic compound, right? Because like I say, these cherub, they have the appearance of a burning coal, which is carbon, and then they have 4 wings apiece. You feel what I'm saying? Which the hydrogen or water-like element would provide as they become volatile and rise and fly, become vapor. You feel what I'm saying? To form a cloud. Okay, so real quick, let's hit on another interesting aspect, right? We're looking at verse 4. It says, and out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, right? So in the midst of the whirlwind or in the cloud, right? There was the color of amber, right? Now, what's interesting is when you go to the Strongs and you look at this word for color, it's really the word for eye, right? I-N, right? And eye, right? A fountain and eye, right? You know what I'm saying? Eye of a landscape, okay? Now, when you jump down to verse 18, it says, as for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4, right? So, hold on, let me go back to the Strongs. Go to 18, right? Let's show you that, right? The eyes, it's the same word, right? A-N, right? And I. Now that's very interesting. Okay, so in the midst of the cloud, we see colors of amber, right? Which is essentially could be eyes of amber, right? And then we know that, you know what I'm saying, upon the rings, right, and the wings, they were full of eyes round about them. All right, now one thing that's interesting about that is, it's this amber, because it's very telling, alright? Okay, so amber. Amber is fossilized tree resin, okay? Very important, alright, because we still talking about that resin, that incense, you feel what I'm saying? So you know we still in the same ballpark, alright, which has been appreciated for its color and natural beauty since Neolithic times. Alright, much value from antiquity as, to the present as a gemstone. Amber is made into a variety of decorative objects. And one thing about this amber that's very important is it's a key element in preserving things, like, you know, fossils and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Insects, other ancient stuff that get trapped up in this tree resin, and the tree resin ends up turning into amber. And here you have a preserved, piece of history right here. You know what I'm saying? And so that's very neat in itself, and it's also, very relevant to what we talking about. So it says it has also been used as a healing agent in folk medicine. All right. Also used in jewelry. Skip that part, my bad. So there are 5 classes of amber defined on the basis of their chemical constituent. Because it originates as a soft, sticky tree resin, amber sometimes contains animal and plant material as inclusions. Alright, amber occurred in coal seams. Alright, is also called resinite. Alright, check that out. Check that out. Jump down here a little bit, because this is the most important part. Okay, so check this part out up here. You know what I'm saying? What I want right here, it says the classical names for amber, Latin electrum and ancient Greek electron, okay, are connected to a term, elector, meaning beaming sun. According to a myth, Phaeton, son of Helios, the sun was killed. His born sister became poplar trees, and their tears became electron, amber. The word electron gave rise to the words electric, electricity, and their relatives because of amber's ability to bear a static electricity charge. Okay, very important, because the Greek word for amber is literally electron. Alright? Okay, so when we go to electron, we know what electrons are. You feel what I'm saying? You know, electrons are these charged particles that you know what I'm saying, that's been around atoms and, you know, nucleuses and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not a chemistry expert. You know, I'm trying. You know, I'm doing my best to bring out this drop because it's very complex. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, even if you look at them right here, they look like eyes. You know what I'm saying? They look like little eyes floating around. You know what I'm saying? If you will. You know, so let's just dig into that a little bit. Alright. So, you know, electron, whole bunch of scientific jargon, you know. Y'all read that, pause it real quick and just skim through it real fast. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down to right here, right? It says discovery of effect of electric force, right? Because again, you know, so, and the ancient Greeks noticed that amber attracted small objects when rubbed with fur, along with lightning, right? Very important as well. This phenomenon is one of the earliest human recorded experiences with electricity. Okay, coined the new Latin term electricus to refer to this property of attracting small objects after being rubbed. Both electric and electricity are derived from the Latin electrum, right? Also the root of the aloe of the same name, which came from the Greek word for amber, electron. Boom. So the electron is naming, electricity, all that comes from an observance of amber, right? So if somebody's seeing something the color of amber or eyes of amber, you know what I'm saying? What is the hidden meaning behind that? You see what I'm saying? Now look at that. Now that's crazy. I ain't even mean to click on that, but very interesting picture just popped up here. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back to the script. Okay. Now what's interesting about that is, like, when you look at verse 11, it says, thus with their faces and their wings stretched upward, two wings of everyone were joined to another, and two covered their body. Now it's very interesting to me because, you know, it paints a picture, you know what I'm saying? You can see the cherubim wings being connected with each other as they provide this chariot that the Creator is riding on, his throne is riding on. But at the same time, it reminds me of a process in chemistry, right? Which is oxidation and reduction, right? Oxidation is the loss of electrons, right? Check out this visual. Boom, right? So with these wings being touched and these cherubim each having eyes all around about, these eyes of amber and stuff like that, being associated with electrons, right? That's very interesting to me, you know what I'm saying? Because as the wings are joined, it's like some type of chemical bond, some type of covalent bond, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. I ain't studied this stuff in years until I came across this drop, so you got to bear with me, you know what I'm saying? But for y'all who know, who deep into this stuff, I'm telling you, it's real deal, because it shows when everybody says stuff is so hocus pocus and spooky and fictional, this shows the real life elemental aspect of our Creator, the real scientific and you know, just chemistry aspect of what we're dealing with in Scripture. Alright, but again, you see, like in some of these processes, right? Look at what it says. The reaction occurs relatively slowly as the formation of rust, or more quickly in the case of fire. There are simply redox processes such as oxidation of carbon to yield carbon dioxide, or the reduction of carbon by hydrogen to yield methane, right? And more complex processes such as oxidation of glucose in the human body. Alright, so just peep that, continue to rock with your boy. Okay, real quick, just coming back. Dig on some of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because again, once these atoms come together, as you can see in the visual, you have this process of oxidation and reduction, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying, you have a transfer of electrons and stuff that, kind of changes certain chemical components, and all kind of stuff happen, you know what I'm saying? But like I say, I'm not no chemist, you know what I'm saying? So just dig on it and rock with me. Okay, so so we were building, right, the likeness of the living creatures with as the appearance of burning coals of fire, when it has a lot to do with carbon, you know what I'm saying? And it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, right? We know coal produces electricity as well as, the electric charge of the electrons, right? Amber, you know what I'm saying, being the color of amber, things like that. What does amber and its color have to do with being able to produce electricity? You know what I'm saying? Does the color or just its whole composition in itself cater to it being able to provide an electric charge? So that's something you got to think about. You know what I'm saying? Right? Living creatures' appearances, flashes of lightning, makes you think about also those little particles you see, like sometimes at the corner of your eye, and little flashes, and if you're looking up in the sky, you see little particles moving. You know what I'm saying? Like just something to think about. But all right, let's continue, right? So now, in verse 15, it said, "Now as I behold the living creatures, behold one wheel upon the earth by the living creature and its four faces." Excuse me. "The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel." Okay, all right. So now, the wheel in the wheel, you know what I'm saying? As you see many depictions, right? Okay, so you know what I'm saying, you can see right here, you know what I'm saying, right there, and you know what I'm saying? As people try to, give you their interpretations or what they think is being shown, the wheel in the wheel, and you know what I'm saying? As we all collectively are trying to figure out what's being said in the scriptures, you know what I'm saying? The wheels and the wheels, the chariots, right? People, some people say UFOs, this, that, and the third. But I'm gonna kind of give you, you know what I'm saying, my perspective and what the Most High has been showing me, according to this particular information. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna take you to something called benzene, right? Also referred to as a benzene ring. Okay, so benzene is an organic chemical compound with the chemical formula of C6H6. Okay, the benzene molecule is composed of 6 carbon atoms joined in a ring with 1 hydrogen atom attached to each. Okay, as it contains only carbon, the hydrogen atoms, as it contains only carbon and hydrogen atoms, benzene is classified as a hydrocarbon. Alright. Benzene is a natural constituent of crude oil and is one of the elementary petrochemicals. Alright. So due to the cyclic continuous pi bond between the carbon atoms, benzene is classified as an aromatic hydrocarbon. Boom. Alright. We gonna come back to that. Alright, so first let's continue, right? Sometimes benzene is a colorless and highly flammable liquid with a sweet smell, right? Because it's an aromatic hydrocarbon. Okay, so dig. But I'm gonna jump down here to something that is called the benzene ring, right? Now, first discovery, it says the word benzene derives from gum benzene, a benzoin resin. Okay, so here we go with resin again. Alright, and it says a balsamic resin obtained from the bark of several species of trees in the genus Styrax. It is used in perfume, some kinds of incense, as well as flavoring and medicine. So here we go with the resin again, right? The incense, the gum, right? Remember that from the last drop. Okay, so just wanted to catch that real quick. So we're gonna jump down to the ring formula. All right. It says the empirical formula of benzene was long known, but its highly polyunsaturated structure with just one hydrogen atom for each carbon was challenging to determine. Alright, so these guys suggested possible structures that contain multiple double bonds or multiple rings, but too little evidence was then available to help chemists decide on any particular structure. Alright, in 1865, the German chemist Friedrich August Kekulé published a paper in French, for he was then teaching the Francophone Belgium, how you say it, suggesting that the structure contained a ring of 6 carbon atoms with alternating single or double bonds. The next year, he published a much longer paper in German on the same subject. Kekulé used evidence that accumulated in the intervening years, namely that there always appeared to be one isomer of any monoderivative of benzene. I know this stuff is all science and chemistry jargon. Just bear with me. I know this might be a little boring, but please bear with me. Alright, of benzene, and that there always appear to be exactly 3 isomers of every distributed derivative, now understood to correspond to the ortho, meta, or para patterns of arene substitutions. To argue in support of his structure, Kekulé's symmetrical ring could explain these curious facts, as well as benzene's 1:1 carbohydrate ratio. Okay, so says the new understanding of benzene, and hence of all aromatic compounds, proved to be so important for both pure and applied chemistry that in 1890 the German Chemical Society organized an elaborate appreciation in Kekulé's honor, celebrating the 25th anniversary of his benzene paper. Here, Kekulé spoke of the creation of the theory. He has stated that he discovered the ring shape of the benzene molecule after having a revere or daydream of a snake seizing his own tail. That is a common symbol in many ancient cultures known as the Ouroboros, right? This the snake eating his tail, the endless knot. The vision came, he said, that this vision, he said, came to him after years of studying the nature of carbon compounds. Alright, the years after he solved the problem of how carbon atoms could bond up to 4 other atoms at the same time. Curiously, humorously depicted, the benzene had appeared in 1866. They say, let me see. Okay. So, read. The cyclic nature of benzene was finally confirmed by that person. So dig on that. Alright. Now, traces amounts of benzene are found in petroleum and coal. Check that out. Alright. So now, let me see. Okay, so coming over to aromatic hydrocarbon, right? Because benzene is an aromatic hydrocarbon, right? Which is very important for what we're talking about, especially when we're talking about volatile organic compounds being released from the trees in the mountains, right? And this is being a form of incense, right? These from the sap, from the resin, all right, frankincense, resin, incense, the smoke that comes from these aromatic hydrocarbons. All right, now, so let's get into it. An aromatic hydrocarbon, or arene, is a hydrocarbon with sigma bonds and delocalized pi electrons between carbon atoms, forming the circle, right? So you see, These electrons are between each carbon atom, forming a circle. In contrast, aliphatic hydrocarbons lack this delocalization. The term aromatic was assigned before the physical mechanism determining aromaticity. Alright, let me see if they'll pull up a little quick. Alright, hold on, we're going to go to that actually. Look interesting. Alright, so matter of fact, hold on, let's go on and go to it right now. Aromaticity. In organic chemistry, the term aromaticity is used to describe a cyclic ring-shaped, planar flat molecule with a ring of resonance bonds that extends more stable, that exhibits more stability than other geometric or connective arrangements with the same set of atoms. Y'all pay attention. Pay attention. Alright. Okay. So again, right, the whole fact of these aromatic chemicals have a lot to do with their cyclic or ring shape structure. Alright, so I'm gonna go back. Okay, so aromaticity was discovered. The term was coined as such simply because of many compounds have a sweet or pleasant odor, right? Alright, the configuration of 6 carbon atoms in aromatic compounds is known as the benzene ring, right? It's known as a benzene ring after the simplest possible such hydrocarbon, benzene, right? Aromatic hydrocarbons can be monocyclic or polycyclic. Alright. Some non-benzene based compounds are heteroenes. Okay. You see in these compounds at least one carbon atom is replaced by one of the hetero atoms, oxygen, nitrogen, or sulfur. Okay, examples of non-benzene compounds are aromatic properties such as furan, we're not here for the nouns, we're here for the benzene, right? Okay, so benzene ring model. Benzene CA86, they display aromaticity. The carbohydrate ratio is high. They burn with a strong sooty yellow flame because of the high carbon hydrogen ratio, right? And we know these are volatile organic compounds, right? Okay, so it says C6H6 is the most complex aromatic hydrocarbon. Dang, didn't they just say it was the simplest? I don't know. That's weird. Well, anyways, so and it was the first one named as such. The nature of its bonding was first recognized by that guy again. Each carbon atom in the hexagonal cycle has 4 electrons to share. Alright, one goes to the hydrogen atom and one to each of the 2 neighboring carbon atoms. So think about that. Right? 2 is going somewhere and 2 is going somewhere else. Just like the wings, right? 2 are joined and 2 are covering something else, right? The wings of the cherub. Okay. So this leaves 1 electron to share with one of the 2 neighboring carbon atoms. Alright, thus creating a double bond with 1 carbon and leaving a single bond with the other. Alright, which is why the benzene molecule is drawn with alternating single and double bonds around the hexagon. Okay. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so boom, peep all that, right? This is the benzene, right? We have a ring that's in a ring. Let's check it out. Alright, so boom. So here's your benzene ring, right? Here's your benzene ring, what you have. You have a ring around another ring, right? You can see it right here, clearly, right? You have a ring of carbon atoms, right? You have this wheel, and then you have another outer wheel, right? Which are the hydrogen atoms. So you literally have a wheel within a wheel, right? This is the benzene ring. These are aromatic hydrocarbons, right? Aromatic, meaning these are the hydrocarbons that's carrying the odor from the smoke of the incense. You feel what I'm saying? If you will. Alright, so Google some photos of aromatic hydrocarbons and look what you have. Right? You have this wheel within the wheel, right? These white circles, they represent the hydrogen molecule, right? And then these represent the carbon molecules, right? Or atoms, if you will, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, these aromatic hydrocarbons are like that's what's carrying the aroma, right? Through this vehicle right here, this chemical vehicle. So you know what I'm saying. So when we talk about hallucinogenic, probably psychoactive effects that certain odors have on the brain, we can see ways that they're transported, right, and reasons why Ezekiel was able to see the Creator through these visions of these particular entities, these particular beings, right, that represents these particular molecules or elements, organic compounds that exist in nature, because they're the earthly mother's angel. Alright, I know it's all over the place, sounds crazy, but you got to rock with your boy. You know what I'm saying? But this is the aromatic hydrocarbon. Okay, so back to the scriptures. Alright, starting up here at verse 9, right? It says, their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went everyone straight forward. Okay, so now peek that out. Now, alright. Okay, we're gonna jump down to verse 17, right? Right after we say, and their work, as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Okay. Alright, wheel in the middle of a wheel. Right. Okay, so it says in verse 17, when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. Alright, so we got the peep game, right? Also, before I even get into this, I'm sorry, check out verse 18. It said, as for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes. Because what we just got through digging, right? The benzene ring, right? We just got through digging on the benzene ring, right? The ring within the ring, okay? So, okay, you look at the verse, and the verse is saying that their work was as it were a wheel in a wheel. And then it says, as for their wings, they were so high, and then they were full of the eyes, right? The eyes being what? These, you know what I'm saying, could possibly be referring to the electrons and the outer rings and stuff like that. Denoted about the man, you know, it's very complex, as I said, but I know you feel me. I know you feel me. Okay, so back to verse 17, right? It says, and when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. All right, like in verse 9, and their wings were joined to one another, they turned not when they went. They went everyone straight forward. All right, so now peep verse 17, because it's saying, you know, it give you a visual how these things moving, right? Because it says when they went upon their four sides. So they didn't turn. So if you got a creature with four heads, right? You got four faces. They're pointing in each cardinal direction. They not, when they move, they're not turning. They're only going in each cardinal direction. They're only going north, south, east, and west. You feel what I'm saying? There's no turns being made. They're only going in the cardinal directions, right? As they say, they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. Okay, so now check out verse 12, right? It says, and they went everyone straight forward, right? Whether the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. Okay, jump down to verse 20, right? Whether so the spirit was to go, they went, thither was their spirit to go, right? And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Okay, all right. So now understand, it's saying whether so the spirit was to go, they went, right? Like I say in verse 12, whether the spirit was to go, they went. So wherever the spirit went, that's where they went. Now check this out. Alright, so now what we got to understand about, you know what I'm saying, some of these verses, some of the words that they're using interchangeably, that could kind of hide a lot of meaning. You know what I'm saying? That makes you wonder, well, what made you chose this word for this one and this word for this context, but the root or the Strong's is the same, right? And the reason why I say that is because when you look in verses like verse 12, you see that the word spirit is ruach, right? And we know spirit is ruach, but we know it's also a wind by resemblance, breath, right? Exhalation. Remember, we've been talking about that. Okay, going down to verse 20, right? Spirit, right? Ruach, wind. But now let's go over the Psalms real quick. All right, so let's jump over to Psalms 18. Now this is a verse that's been heavily mistranslated and being mistaught, and it's crazy. It don't even make sense. But we're gonna get into that later, because that can be very detrimental to our people. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't finna stand for it nor play with it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to jump down here. Like I said, we're gonna get back to that later. You know what I'm saying? So I want to come down here to verse 18 and 10, right? All right. So it says, and he rode upon a cherub. All right, here we go with cherub, and he did fly. Because we know what? They wing it, right? Okay, so we said, and he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yeah, he did fly upon the wings of the wind, right? So he's flying upon the wings of the wind. Now, if you go in the Strong's, right? Go back to verse 10. It said the wings of the wind. The word wind right here is what? Is ruach, right? All right. All right, so ruach, okay? Ruach, right? Spirit used 232 times. Wind is used 92 times, right? Wind, breath, mind, spirit, breath, wind, all right? Air, gas, breath of air, quarter of wind, of heaven, you know what I'm saying? Vein of the thing, spirit, which breaks into, okay? Spirit, animation, curve, temple, all that stuff, all that good stuff. Yeah, man. Wind by resemblance of breath. Alright. Exhalation, life, anger. You know what I'm saying? By resemblance, spirit. You know how I go. Okay. So it says that it's from 7306, which this is 7307, right? So you go to 7306 and it's ruach, right? Ruach again. But this ruach, it denotes smell, touch, quick understanding, and accept. Right, but it's mainly used for smell. Okay, so to smell, scent, perceive, odor, accept. Okay, and makes perfect sense when we're talking about what? Aromatic hydrocarbons, because aromatic hydrocarbons have aroma, right? So, primitive root, properly to blow, to breathe, only to smell, or by implication perceive, right? Accept, smell. Okay. To breathe, blow, especially with the nostrils, you know what I'm saying? But it's used, when it's used in the scripture, like I say, most time it's used for smell, right? Right, look, the Lord smelled a sweet savor. What's sweet savor? That's an aroma, right? Okay, so what is carrying that aroma through the air, right? It's the aromatic hydrocarbons. You feel me? So the ruach is dealing with wind as well, right? Alright, so coming back to Ezekiel 1, you know what I'm saying? Speaking on verses 17 and 20, as well as 12 and 17, right? These four verses where it's talking about the way the angels move, right? How they don't move, they don't turn when they move, they go in each direction, right? They went upon their four sides, right? The way their four faces is. So they don't turn, they move in cardinal directions. And not only that, but wherever the spirit goes, they go, right? But we know spirit is also interchangeably for wind, the breath, right? So wherever the wind blows, these living creatures or these chemicals go, right? These organic compounds go. Now this reminds me of a particular process I remember learning about in school. Let's dig on it. Okay, boom, diffusion, right? I don't know how many of you guys remember diffusion, you know what I'm saying, from school, but I remember diffusion. Remember, diffusion is the net movement of molecules or atoms from a region of higher concentration, a high chemical potential, to a region of lower concentration, right? A low chemical potential. Diffusion is driven by a gradient in chemical potential of the fusing species. Alright, so remember, like, you know how they explain, like, if you spray some Febreze or something in the room, those chemicals, right? I don't know if they're aromatic hydrocarbons or not, but they definitely have aroma. But they spray it to the area where they're not at the most. You feel what I'm saying? So if you spray a lot over here, they gonna spray it over there and kind of, you know, spread the smell throughout the room in places where it haven't been heavily concentrated, right? Because that's what diffusion is, right? To spray it way out. You feel what I'm saying? So let's get some etymology real quick. Okay, diffusion, right? A copious outpouring, right? Pouring forth. Okay, scatter, pour out, right? This, apart in every direction. Boom, right? Act of diffusion, state of being diffused, a spreading abroad or dispersion. Okay, so think about it now. Diffusion is, right, a spreading about, a dispersion of something, right, in every direction. So what's our direction, right? We know our direction, north, east, south, west, right? And you know the little, whatever they call the ones in between, right? Northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast, all that. You know what I'm saying? So if the cherubim, these living creatures, they're not turning when they move, right? They're only going on each face, which is in each direction. You feel what I'm saying? And when the spirit go, that's where they go. AKA, wherever the wind blows, that's where they go, right? Remember the movie The Happening? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Remember that movie. Or even Bird Box. Again, you know what I'm saying? These two movies. Think about it. On what happened on the movie The Happening. If you haven't caught that movie, man, go catch it, because it's going to help you, you know what I'm saying, see, you know, like really see this information come to life. Because what happened, once these plants release these chemicals, whenever you see that wind blowing, you know these chemicals was in that wind, and you knew to run. You feel what I'm saying? Or else you would fend off yourself. You know what I'm saying? But that it just shows you that process of diffusion, right? Where these chemicals are being spread by the wind, right? They're being scattered. They're being spread out. They're being poured out, right? Poured forth. You know what I'm saying? In every direction. So wherever that wind is blowing, that's where them chemicals going, because the chemicals are being carried by the wind. All right. Hey, so before we move on, very interesting concept I want to share with you guys. I should have kind of probably shared it earlier in the video. But you know, it is what it is. It still fits, you know. And when we're looking at these cherubim, like I say, they tend to display multiple aspects of different elements into one for symbolic purposes, right? Now with these cherub, like I say, sometimes you can see a powerful land animal as combined with a powerful air animal, right? Now that's interesting because you see these two different elements from two different, you know what I'm saying, environments, if you will. But one thing it makes me think about is the, you know, the hydrocarbons, right? Which is consistent entirely of hydrogen and carbon. You know what I'm saying? And that's interesting because within this, because as we've been bringing out the Shekinah, the divine feminine and stuff like that. What's interesting about these hydrocarbons, if you kind of look at them, you kind of see the combination of male and female, right? Aspects of like a male and female, right? Or land and water, if you will, right? So that's interesting, man. And to kind of hit it home, I want to share this comment with you, real. So, man, I want to share this comment with you guys that LJ Free left on my Archangel Michael video, man, and shout out to LJ Free, man. That sister, nothing but the truth. You hear me? Nothing but the truth, man. Got mad love for her, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, she was dropping heavy jewels on my Michael video. You feel me? But I remember something she had said that was crazy. She said a lot of profound stuff, but just building on that male and female aspect, man, it was something, man, that kind of hit me, man, like crazy, yo. So right here, man, in this paragraph, right? So it says, I can't move on to my next port without expressing my disdain for the nerve of the invaders calling us out our name. I know that's right. They call us chattel, knowing that the reality is that we are the paleo alphas, right? We are the strong, powerful leaders. But check this out. She say, we are the ox, paleo letter A, the ox, right? Which is the bros, right? The brothers. You feel me? Phonetics. Pay attention, the ox and the ox, right? We know, you know what I'm saying, like she say, the paleo letter A is represented as an ox, right? Then she said, we are the aquas. Aqua. Again, phonetics, right? The sisters. The aquas, right? And she said, now ask yourself, what would keep an ox pulling a heavy load on a hot day, right? We know what aqua is. Aqua is water, right? Right? Which is what? Hydro, right? Hydrogen, right? And then you got carbon, right? Which is represented by this hot burning coal, or coal and land, fossils, things like that. So it's very interesting because, again, like I say, it kind of gives you this combination of principles, right? Land and water, if you will, with the hydrocarbon, but it's also like a masculine and a feminine combination as well. You know what I'm saying? So I find that very interesting. You know, almost like when you look at them, it's like the sun and planets, right? Just, man, it's a lot, man, when you're dealing with wisdom, man, and just understanding the divine Shekinah, right? We have a lot of the masculinity already displayed for us, but when you can, with wisdom, see how the feminine aspect comes to play with it, man, it provides you with a complete holistic picture, and it's very profound, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why I feel like it's very possible for these cherub or these hydrocarbons and organic compounds to provide the Shekinah, because they give you a holistic aspect of nature, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So continuing on, I just want to share that with you, man, because you got to understand balance, got to have balance, you know what I'm saying? Got to have that masculine and that feminine, you feel what I'm saying? Oh, and as I forgot to mention, we talking about hydrocarbons and organic compound. Like I said, these are the basic elements for life. These are angels of the Most High because they help the Most High do what? Create. And when we look in real time and in real life, what creates? A man and a woman, does it not? You want to share that. You know how it go. Okay, so you know what I'm saying, we broke down most of the chapter, man, touching here and there, hitting on certain parts as best as we could, just to get you a basic foundation of the chemical, you know what I'm saying, just the chemical understanding of this chapter, the scientific explanation to how the Creator's spirit is in this cloud, right, dealing with these compounds and these elements, right, these chemicals. Now, you know what I'm saying, like I say, just to give you a foundation, because it is very complex, you know what I'm saying, it is very complex. So, like I say, I'm glad you guys are still here with me. For those of you who are, man, I just ask that you know what I'm saying, keep rocking with me. So, you know what I'm saying, just to kind of finish up the chapter, I'm gonna start at verse 24, right? It says, and when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, right, like the noise of great waters, and the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man. And I saw the color of amber, right, here we go again, as the appearance of fire round about within it, right, round about. For the appearance of his loins, even upward, and from the appearance of his loins, even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had the brightness round about it. Okay, so it said, and the appearance of the boat, it said, as the appearance of the boat that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about it. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard the voice of the one that spake. So, okay, so now, like, this brings full circle Ezekiel having the vision of God, right? Because he's able to see the chariot. He's able to see them being joined together to provide the chariot. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. He's able to see the cherubim. He's able to see them come together to form what is called the chariot, right? That the Most High rides on, right? Because even when we look at some of these compounds, we know what carbon is that element of life. You know what I'm saying? So it's not far-fetched to see the Creator's presence being shown when we're dealing with chemical organic compounds, because we know these very chemicals are the essence for all creation. You know what I'm saying? So of course the Creator Spirit will be riding in the vehicle of these molecules. You know what I'm saying? But you know how I go. And we look at this, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, what we're dealing with is a vision that is being shown to Ezekiel, but it's a vision of a cloud. Remember, a whirlwind, a great cloud. And all of these things he is seeing is in this cloud. So it's showing you, you know what I'm saying, the scientific proof on how the Creator's essence, the presence of divine Shekinah is in the smoke, is in the cloud, right? That we were talking about last video. Okay, so we're going to touch on another aspect of this, right? So let's go get some more information. Alright, so, you know, I'm looking at it, you know, the depictions of Ezekiel's vision, stuff like that, you know. Very interesting, man, because, like even the last verse of the chapter was saying, it made me think about, you know, what's called a nimbus. Now, I ain't gonna dig on it, you know what I'm saying? That may be some homework for you. But you know the nimbus is, you obviously the gods and the nimbus, and the gods covered, clothed with clouds and stuff, the nimbus, but what I found was a nimbus meant a dark cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like a rainy cloud or something like that, a dark cloud. And I know how many times the Most High reverenced a dark cloud, especially when it comes to his presence, right? Where he, you know what I'm saying, like I say, he reside in dark waters or dark clouds and things like that. So, you know, I found that very interesting. But, you know, I just wanted to say that. But right here, man, you have this picture, right, of Ezekiel's vision, tied to a wiki link. So let's go over there real fast. Alright, so Ezekiel's vision, right, painted by Raphael, showing the prophet Ezekiel's vision of God in majesty. Okay, now when you click on this vision of God in majesty, it take you to something very interesting. Alright, so let's dig on that. Alright, so okay, so it takes us to Merkabah mysticism, right? And right here we talking about Ezekiel's vision, essentially. So we'll see what they're talking about. Alright. So or chariot mysticism is also called chariot mysticism, okay? Is a school of early Jewish mysticism centered on visions such as those found in the book of Ezekiel chapter 1, or in the Hekalat palaces literature concerning stories of ascents to the heavenly palaces or throne of God. Look at that. The main corpus of the Merkabah literature was composed in the period of 200-700 CE, although later references to the chariot traditions can be found in literature of the Chasidi Ashkenaz in the Middle Ages. A major text in this tradition is the Maseh Merkabah, the works of the chariot. Alright. I scroll down here to etymology. It says the noun Merkabah, thing to ride in, cart, is derived from the consonantal root Rakaba, right? But if you look at it, if you switch these two around, you have cherub, like cherub. You know what I'm saying? Which is cherub, which is interesting. But So with the general meaning to ride, right, the word chariot is found 44 times in the Masoretic texts of the Hebrew Bible, most of them referring to normal chariots on earth. And although the concept of the Merkabah is associated with Ezekiel's vision, the word is not explicitly written in Ezekiel 1. However, when left untranslated in English, the Hebrew term Merkabah, right, relates to the throne chariot of God in prophetic visions. It is most closely resembled with the vision of Ezekiel chapter 1, or of the four-wheeled vehicle driven by the four Hayat, right, living creatures, right, each having four wings and four faces of a man, lion, ox, and eagle, or vulture. Okay, so check this out. Right here in Ezekiel's vision of the chariot. According to the verses in Ezekiel and its attendant commentaries, his vision consists of a chariot made by heavenly beings driven by the likeness of a man. The base structure of the chariot is composed of four beings. These beings are called the living creatures. The bodies of the creatures are that of a human being, but the bodies of the creatures are like that of a human being, but each of them has four faces corresponding to the four directions, right? Four directions the chariot can go. Look at that. Alright, the faces are that of a man, a lion, and an ox. Later changed to a cherub in Ezekiel 10, right? And an eagle, because we got to understand Ezekiel 10 is kind of playing on Ezekiel 1, but in Ezekiel 10 it literally labels them as cherubim, right? Now go dig on Ezekiel 10 too. You know, I'm not gonna really touch on it here because the video already 2.5 hours long. You know what I'm saying? But just to show you that what is being spoken of in Ezekiel 1 are the cherub, you can go to Ezekiel 10. You know what I'm saying? So, it says, what was I at? A little bit rambling. Since there are four angels and each has four faces, there are a total of 16 faces. Each of the Hayat angels also has four wings. Two of these wings spread across the length of the chariot and connect with the wings of the angels on the other side. This creates a sort of box of wings that form the perimeter of the chariot. With the remaining two wings, each angel covers his own body. Below, but not attached to the feet of the Hayat angels, are other angels that are shaped like wheels. These wheel angels are described as a wheel inside of a wheel, right? Are called ophanim. Wheels, cycles, ways, whatever. These wheels are not directly under the chariot, but are nearby and along its perimeter. Alright, the angel with the face of a man is always on the east side and looks up at the likeness of a man that drives the chariot. The likeness of a man sits on the throne made of sapphire. Okay, so personal interpretation being thrown in here, but we know what it is. It's for us anyway. The Bible later makes mention of a third type of angel found in the Merkabah called the seraphim, burning angels. Alright. So, you know what? Let me see. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Just check this out. Don't want to get into too much of the seraphim because we're talking about the cherubim right now. Alright. The chariot is in constant state of motion, and the energy behind the movement runs according to its hierarchy. Okay, so very important to understand. Alright. Very important to understand because we're talking about these beings creating chariots. All right, look at your rings with your wings and your eyes. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about these living beings, these cherub creating a chariot for the divine Shekinah of the glory of the Lord to ride upon, right, and commune with with creation. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so. Merkabah, right, meaning thing to ride in. Cart, right, generally meaning to ride. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting. Alright, so chariot, right, now, in etymology, is an ancient two-wheeled vehicle used in war, racing, and private life. chariot, wagon, from char, car, right? Carum, Latin, carum, chariot, right? See car. Okay, let's check out car real quick. It's a wheeled vehicle, right? You know what a car is, but you know, we're going to get it. But it's a wheeled vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Two-wheeled, Celtic, war horse, right? Come on, man. That's ladies you can refer to. Anyways, so car, cart, wagon, chariot. Alright, so, but it's very interesting because this is the same root prefix for what? Carbon. Carbon, carbon, right? So it's very interesting that car, it'd be a wheeled vehicle that is actually the root of cherub when we're talking about, excuse me, that's the root of cherubim when we're talking about, did I say that right? I don't think I did. My bad. I mean, car being the same root of carbon when we're looking at and also the same root of chariot, right? And then when we look at cherubim being these organic compounds that have carbon in it, and these provide the vehicle that the Most High rides upon. So it's very interesting. You got to forgive me. I'm over here getting twisted up with chariot and cherubim. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking while I'm talking. So my bad on that part. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So very interesting connection there. And we can see that these molecules and these organic compounds, right? These hydrocarbons, right? Provide a vehicle, right, or a chariot for the divine Shekinah or the angels to ride upon to do the work, right? And when you look at how the dude was describing basically what these principles represented, how he was talking about when you coming into the temple, think about coming into the garden, right? When you have a cherub, you know what I'm saying, keeping the way of the tree of life at the east gate of the Garden of Eden, right? You know what I'm saying? Whoever coming in, but you got to think. Like I see, we talking about the intelligence of a human, the fierceness, ferociousness, and the mightiness of a lion, the flight of an eagle. You feel what I'm saying? As well as the just the strength and fertility of an ox and stuff like just all these different principles. You know what I'm saying? Combine one to show. And I think about that when we talk about the smoke, right? That's in the mountains, and you coming up to that smoke, and knowing that the cherubim are literally in this smoke, and these are guardians, right? These are guardians to paradise. These are guardians, you know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful, because once these things get the green light, they gonna guard. You feel what I'm saying? And they gonna protect. And you know what I'm saying? Like I say, these things are watching. These things, they got the intelligence of humans. Angels are riding in these elements or these chemicals, these, you know what I'm saying, these molecules, because they are vehicles, they are chariots for angelic principles or creative spirits to ride in. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so I want to come up here to a Merkabah. So I know everybody, you know what I'm saying, you know, you guys all know what Merkabah is, and as you can see what's in the midst of Merkabah, we can see somebody sitting in the Padmasana, the lotus position, right, doing what? Meditating, right? And we know that this chariot, this Merkabah is kind of like a vehicle of ascension. People like to, you know what I'm saying, refer to it as and things like that. But one thing I want to show you, since we talking about the Merkabah mysticism, when you digging on Merkabah mysticism, it talks directly of Ezekiel 1, right? And these cherubim that creates these chariots, right? What you know what I'm saying, to ride, right? Cart, right? Car, right? You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting because look at these, look at the structure, right? What's that other one that I had? Okay, look at the structure. Matter of fact, I might go back to that one. That might display it a little bit better. Okay, so this is a Merkabah. But look at this now, and tell me, does this not look like the aromatic hydrocarbon, right? You got 3 rings, right? 3 rings. You got 6 rings in the inner circle. And then you got 6 in the outer circle, right? In this shape right here. Alright, going back to the Merkabah. Right? You got 6 in the inner circle. And you got 6 in the outer circle. Right? Go to a nun. Right? The other one I had up there. You got 6 in the inner circle. And then you got 6 in the outer circle. Alright, going back to the aromatic hydrocarbon. 6 in the inner circle. 6 in the outer circle. Right? Very Merkabah-like. Now, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think what we talking about is very spot on. You feel what I'm saying? I think what we talk about is very accurate. We might not be all the way there with it, but we scratching the surface. You feel what I'm saying? We in the building. You feel what I'm saying? We in there. Yeah, swim well. Let me stop. But yeah, we in there though. You know what I'm saying? So like I say, we look at these Merkabah, these depictions of the Merkabah, it looks just like a aromatic hydrocarbon, right? But this is a vehicle, this is a vessel, this is a chariot. So that's very important, you know what I'm saying? It's very important, man. So we're gonna continue, man, with the last portion of this video. Okay, last but not least, man, I got to touch on Psalms 18 because I've been seeing this chapter right here being used to kind of mislead the people, being misinterpreted, you know what I'm saying? And I got to say it straight up, you know, and I don't really care who like it. It don't really make me no never mind. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you straight up, this chapter ain't talking about no dragons. If you get caught up in that on the surface interpretation, you will never understand the true mysteries and the deep hidden wisdom that's in this chapter. Alright, but that's the division right there. You feel what I'm saying? Between learned and unlearned, and between wisdom, you feel what I'm saying, and the lack thereof. Because if you understand this on the surface, on an elementary sense, it would seem as though this was talking about drag. You know what I'm saying? But when I show you what's going on here, I hope it changes your thought process, because this, like, we got to stop playing games, dog. We got to understand the tangibility of protection, not the fairy taleness of it, but the tangibility of protection that our Creator has provided for us. And I'm not finna just sit up here and just allow my people, you know what I'm saying, to just be led to the slaughter like that without it, you know what I'm saying, the shit being exposed. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Like I say, you know, there ain't no whatever. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna tell you straight up. Like I said, and y'all better be paying attention and not just listening to everything. You feel what I'm saying? You better be doing your due diligence. You better be doing your homework, and you better be listening when, you know what I'm saying, when real, you know what I'm saying, divine information and wisdom is being given, as opposed to surface information, because our scriptures is deeper than that. I got to come like that, dog, because this ain't no game. And I ain't finna argue with nobody. I ain't finna go back and forth in no comments with nobody. I'm gonna lay this on you, and then that's it. I've spoken. You feel what I'm saying? That's it, you know. But, you know what I'm saying, you know, but for real, though, like I say, man, because, you know, this ain't nothing to play about, man. I'm serious about, you know, the exodus of my people, and the last thing I want them to do is be led astray and perform the same wickedness in the wilderness that their ancestors did in previous times. I had an old video on that, wickedness in the wilderness. You see some of the stuff our people doing, it's the same thing, wickedness in the wilderness. So you got to be careful, you know what I'm saying? So, and I hope this is eye-open, you know what I'm saying? So let's go. Alright, so Psalms 18. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. Alright, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who spoke unto the Lord the words of his songs in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hand of his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And he said, so first of all, we know what we're talking about right now. We talking about this Michael principle, right? This aspect of the Creator that is Michael, that represents kingship, protection, refuge, and the slaying of enemies, right? We did a whole video on it, all right? So now, let's go. It say, I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. All right? The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. He said, I will call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised, and so shall I be saved from my enemies, right? You know what we're talking about. The sorrow of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. Alright, the sorrows of hell compassed me about, and the snares of death prevented me. Check this out. In my distress I called upon the Lord, and cried unto my God, and he heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Now we got to understand one thing. Alright? He said, in my distress, right? In a troublesome time, I called upon the Lord, and he heard my voice out of his temple. Now, where is the Most High's temple? Or where's the Lord's temple? Or where's the angel's temple? The angel's temple is wherever the divine Shekinah is, right? Because that's what makes the temple, right? The Mishkan, right? The Shekinah, okay? Whatever, remember the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem, right? The temple of Solomon, you know what I'm saying? Temple Solomon built, you know what I'm saying? It housed the Shekinah of the Lord. You feel what I'm saying? So wherever his Shekinah is resting and dwelling, that's his temple, right? That's his tabernacle. That's his place of rest. You feel what I'm saying? That's where you come and commune with him. Just like if you were going to a church, you're going to a temple to come and commune with so-called, you know what I'm saying, the Spirit of God, get his word, you know what I'm saying? But you know how that go. But I'm just using that as an example. But just to say that his temple is where his Shekinah is. So when we take our last 2 drops, put that into place and understanding, especially when we're talking about distress, protection, refuge. David needs protection and refuge right now. Because what? The snares of death, floods of ungodly men, sorrows of hell, snares of death, all of those are encompassing him right now. You feel what I'm saying? So he needs protection and refuge, right? So, all right, moving on. It says, then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills were moved and shaken, because he was wroth, because he was mad, right? There went up smoke out of his nostrils, and a fire out of his mouth devoured, and coals were kindled by it. Understand this, right? It says that he was wroth. Smoke went out of his nostrils, right? We're talking about exhalation of smoke. We already dug on it. All right, fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep going before I further break anything down. Right. It says, okay, where we at? Coals were kindled by it. All right, verse 9. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. All right, and he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yeah, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. And he made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of sky. Right? Sound like that Nimbus again. Okay? And the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed hailstones and coals of fire. Alright, so we're going to stop right there. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I say, from about 7 to 11, you know what I'm saying? Or 7 to 12, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, on the surface, it would look like this is talking about a dragon, right? Smoke coming out of nostrils. But then it said he rode upon the cherub and did fly. So you got to think, like, is he riding the dragon, or is he the dragon, or what's really being said? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really get into too much, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But like I say, I just know this chapter right here is being misinterpreted. Like I say, on the surface, it would seem like this is talking about dragons. But this is very deeper. This is actually a roadmap to salvation and refuge right here, when you really understand it, right? Now, let's break a few things down, right? Especially, starting at verse 7, it says, then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills were moved and were shaken, because he was wroth, right? He was angry. There went up smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured, right? Now, we've been talking about this smoke. We've been talking about exhalation, right? Breathing, breath, spirit, smoke, especially when we're talking about the Great Smoky Mountains and the smoke that's emitted by the lungs of the earth, aka trees, right? Now, we also talking about this land representing an aspect, a principality, right? That's represented by a goddess, right? Which they call it other things in other cultures, but right now we dealing with her as the Shekinah, right? Which is the feminine aspect of the dwelling and settling of the creative spirit. All right. Now this particular the principality represented by this goddess was what I said. We talking about Artemis, right? She was represented by incense. You feel what I'm saying? So that characteristic of incense was displayed in the land that she and Michael were associated with. We proved that in the last video. Now let's just let's dig on something based upon this particular entity being wrath and smoke coming out of his nostrils, fire out of his mouth, devoured and coals were kindled by it. Okay, so let's go to incense, right? So, and just in the noun, we know we're dealing with gum or other substance, a sweet smelling when burned, you know what I'm saying? Burnt incense, that which is burnt, you feel what I'm saying? Incense there, set on fire, meaning smoke, right? Or perfume of incense. All right, to arouse, inspire, right? Set on fire, enrage, rouse, provoke to anger, to heat, make something hot. All right, to offer incense, perfume with incense, fumigate something with incense. All right. All right, now check this out. Let's go to incensed with the D at the end. So incensed. All right, adjective. Full of wrath. Okay. Hold on. 1 second. All right, full of wrath, right? Remember, he was wroth. Inflamed with anger, right? Earlier it was, now check this out. Earlier it was used in heraldry in reference to fire-breathing animals. Distinguished in pronunciation from incense, perfumed with incense. Okay, bam, check that out. It was a reference, right, to fire-breathing animals. Now this is an allegorical term, because various concepts are hidden within it, right? You can describe something with this term based on the characteristics and associated with something else. You see what I'm saying? But remember, it's talking about being full of wrath and inflamed with anger. But it was also used to describe fire-breathing animals, right? And the scriptures is doing the same thing, just in a reversed manner. Alright, so it says, and he rode upon a cherub. Right, now we just broke this down. Right, and the chariots providing these chariots. What the cherub actually are, the aromatic hydrocarbons themselves, right? And he did fly, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. So you see, you say he did fly, he did fly. And then it said he flew upon the wings. Now that's very interesting, because when we're looking at etymology, you know, what word have we been digging on for the past 2 videos? You know what I'm saying? Volatile, right? Final light, evaporating rapidly. You feel what I'm saying? Volatilis, fleeting, transitory, swift, rapid, flying, winged, right? Valere, to fly. Volant, right? Flying, alright? Able to fly, okay? To fly. Valere, literally, to fly. You feel what I'm saying? To make fly. To fly. To fly. To make fly, able to fly, right? Winged. And in Middle English meant volatiles. In Middle English meant birds, butterflies, or other winged creatures, right? Bird bug, right? But anyway, other winged creatures. So when we look at the verse, what is he saying? He's saying he rode upon a cherub, right? And did fly. Yeah, he did fly upon the wings of the wind, right? We know what these cherub are. You feel what I'm saying? And we know he's riding upon the cherub because the cherub created a chariot. You feel what I'm saying? And they have wings because they're volatile, so they fly. And they fly upon the wings of the wind because wherever the wind blows, the chemicals go. You feel what I'm saying? Just like the mountain, wherever the wind blows, the wind carries the smoke. You know what I'm saying? From place to place, from an area of high concentration to low concentration. You know what I'm saying, if you will. So you got to understand what this is really talking about. This is really talking about your roadmap to refuge. You know what I'm saying? If you will, is, you know what I'm saying, don't get caught up on the surface interpretation, because that could lead you to whatever. You know what I'm saying? But this, like I say, this is literally a roadmap. Even when you look at what he's talking about, he say what? That when smoke out of his nostrils, a fire out of his mouth devoured, coals were kindled by it. You feel what I'm saying? The brightness thereof, thick clouds pass, hailstones, and coals of fire. We've been building on these cold carbon, but where also is cold country. Alright, cold country. Look at this. Why abundant cold may have cursed the Appalachian. Ain't that something? But look what your cold country is. You feel me? All up around this particular region of these mountains. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting, man. Somebody, man, put that little particular bug in my ear when I was kind of going over the information with him. I ain't even see it like that. Today hit me when I'm like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we talking about a vengeful God, right? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? Who comes to aid his people in the time of trouble, right? Through his chief archangel Michael. You feel what I'm saying? Who's associated, or his divine Shekinah, his temple dwells in the land that is represented by a principality that we call incense, right? Alright, coals being kindled by it, right? And in the same area we find in complete abundance of coal, right? And then we know that the volatile organic compounds that is in the air are being spread, right? They're winged creatures, these chemicals with wings, because they're volatile and they fly, right? And they fly upon the wings of the wind. You feel what I'm saying? Because wherever the wind blows, that's where they go. These are guardians. These are cherub. These are the things that's guarding a safe space for the refuge of a sacred people when it's time. You feel what I'm saying? Understand that. Do not get caught up on the surface. You feel what I'm saying? Or what you think it might be saying. But we know the tangibility of our scriptures is real. Just like I've been breaking down Ezekiel 1. Everybody, a lot of people quote so much hocus pocus and spooky stuff. But really, this is real deal. Like, this is real science. This is real chemistry. The scriptures is deep. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of intricate pieces that go into play when you have the wisdom to dig through, when you listen to the Creator and he shows you certain things, you know what I'm saying, through your diligence. You feel what I'm saying? You're able to see these things and bring these mysteries out to the forefront and kind of brush the surface interpretation to the side. What everybody think it is, but it ain't. Because we know our scriptures are very layered. You feel what I'm saying? So you got to ask yourself, what is tangible? You feel what I'm saying? What is tangible? What can we see in real life? You feel what I'm saying? Because we know how our Creator is. Well, you know what I'm saying? Our Creator is very real, especially when we're talking about prophecies and relating them to modern times. How can we see this play in real life in modern times? Where can we see it at? With the principalities? What is the deeper mysteries? What is the hidden science behind it? Can we see it? Is it tangible? Can we go there? Can we seek protection from it? Do we have to wait on it to come? Do we have to wait on it to descend and fly at the sky? Because the mountain range has always been there. These Smokies, they's always been there, waiting. Alright, man, so, I just wanted to bring y'all that information, man. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys find it useful, man, helpful and very insightful. You know what I'm saying? But this thing serious, man. The games, like I say, man, that's done with, man. We got to really pay attention to what's being said, what's being read, what's being shown. You know what I'm saying? And everybody accountable for that, even me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just doing my part. You feel what I'm saying? Because I know, you know what I'm saying, the work I put in, and the level of discipline and servitude that I have with the Creator, you know what I'm saying, is one of a kind. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, you judge a tree by its fruit. You know what I'm saying? And my fruit, you know what I'm saying, speaks for itself. You know, and not to say that in a boastful way, but to keep that shit 100. You know, all the way real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, playtime is over. It's finna get real priestly. You know what I'm saying? And we finna see who real and who ain't and whatever. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no shots and nothing. I don't do that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, this is what it is. Like I say, I spoke it, and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? But, I just want y'all to, just pay attention, man. You know what I'm saying? Get this drop. We understand the concept of seeing the Creator. What that means, you know what I'm saying? The transcendent of mental elevation, meditation. You feel what I'm saying? Concentrating and focusing on the Creator. Remember, that's what Michael wants anyways. One thing, focus on one true God, right? That's an aspect of meditation when you focusing on one thing. You concentrating on one thing. Use that when you study. I promise you, you're going to find results. Use that when you study. When you meditate on scriptures, don't stop until you get answers. You feel what I'm saying? Be diligent. You know what I'm saying? Stay focused, stay concentrated. Don't stop till you get answers. Let the angels know you here. You ain't going nowhere and you mean business. You feel what I'm saying? Get them answers. Come back, give them to your people. You know what I'm saying? Decipher them accordingly. Bring out that drop. Filter it. You feel what I'm saying? And give it to the people. But you got to be diligent. You feel what I'm saying? You got to hold and restrain the spirit. Keep it where you at. Don't let it go nowhere until you get what you want. Or what you need, shall I say. Until self-realization, you get purpose. You feel what I'm saying? You get self-knowledge. You get all that. So you can be what you're supposed to be. You can be the utensil and the instrument that, you know what I'm saying, the Creator need you to be. So He can use you, you know what I'm saying, for the upliftment of His people. Because we know our Creator work through human agencies. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to LJ Free, you know what I'm saying, for just instilling that concept in my head. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, man, when we're dealing with the cherub, we're dealing with just the biblical science, man. We can see the intricacy of these scriptures, how deep they is, the science behind them, right? We were talking about an angel, then we were talking about his presence in a particular land. Now we just show scientifically how his presence is present in this vehicle of cloud. You feel what I'm saying? Through this smoke, through these aromatic hydrocarbons that's emitted when certain incenses and resins are burned. You feel what I'm saying? When these trees get to that boiling point, that vapor point, right? They become volatile. They begin to release that smoke. You feel what I'm saying? What's heating them up to do that? You feel what I'm saying? So it's a lot to come and play, man. I just hope this helps. You know what I'm saying? Your boy all worked up, man, cause this shit, this information real, man, and I'm just tired of playing games, you know what I'm saying, and cause man, it's about that time, man, you know what I'm saying. The Creator is doing great things, powerful things. I can just look at the information He's bestowing upon me, let me know like playtime is over. You know what I'm saying? For me to even be given information like this, let me know it's about that time, man, to put foot to action. You know what I'm saying? So again, I just want to, hit you over the head with this right here. You know what I'm saying? And just show you the biblical science, man. The proof. Like I said, we said his presence was in the cloud that was in the smoke. Now we just showed the science behind it. Go dig on it. You feel what I'm saying? Go put more pieces to it. You know what I'm saying? You pay attention to the aromatic hydrocarbons. How they're literally the same shape as the Merkabah. How the Merkabah is a chariot that spirits ride in. You feel what I'm saying? The Creator is riding upon the chariot created by cherubim. Right? And it's in the cloud. Ezekiel is seeing this vision, this whole vision in the cloud, right? He saw a vision of a whirlwind, a great cloud. And he was able to see the divine presence and the glory of the Creator through the cloud, through the chariot that the chariot will provide. You feel what I'm saying? So understand that when it's time to go in the mountains where the cherub are, where the guardians are, understand why that is very important for refuge, alright? So I love y'all, man. Until next time, if there's a next time, if not, man, hey, I take this info and run with it, man. I don't really know how many more videos I'm gonna be doing. You know what I'm saying? I just got to be real. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, we're gonna see how it go, man. But hey, you know, I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? Take this information, man. Do what you got to do with it, man. And if there is a next time, I'll see you next time. Shalom. Stay up.